And America's Day at the Races is brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the game. America'sBestRacing.net. You can visit there today. Taking a look at Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We've got some great racing action coming to you throughout the afternoon here on FS1. We've got some action from Hot Springs, from Oldsmar, Florida, and we've got the same three at the desk here that you saw yesterday. Jonathan Kinchin, Richard Migliore, Chris Griffin joining you here as we've got some great sequences on the car. We're going to talk about some stakes races, take a look at some year in review. But happy holidays, guys. Merry Christmas, and good to be back with you.
Yeah, happy holidays. Great to be back on with you guys. Had a blast yesterday. I'm looking forward to another 3 hours of frivolity. Is that a good? Is that
pretty good?
Yeah,
it's a big word to start the show.
A big word for a former jockey, especially. Come on.
I have to Google that. I should have just spent the night here. I feel like we just left.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Taking a look at today's races that are going to be on the program, and of course we talked about Oaklawn Park, and there it is, Oaklawn Park, 5th through the 10th. Got a nice late pick 5 coming up. That's going to start in race number 6. We're going to take a look at race number 5, race 6. The allowance feature, that's going to be race number 9, and then we talked about Tampa. Nice conditions there. Fast track, firm turf course. Race 6 is going to start there, late pick 4. Both of those tracks are well into their cards so far this afternoon. Looks like nice racing in both locations. And that 9th race, a good allowance race. We talk about the purse, $133,000 purse there. One scratch of the 7 Esternia, who we saw run yesterday, but still looks like a very competitive field. And bettor's going to be taking a look at the 8 in Minx Palace, and of course the 4 in Tanya Showers. Taking a look at Tanya Showers and Blue Squall, and taking a look at this November 28th effort from this race, the 3 being Tanya Showers and the 6 being Blue Squall. What did we take from this effort?
Well, for me, Mig, it was Tanya Showers kind of jumped up and ran one of the best races of her life. But she seemed like she was pointing in that right direction, right? She hadn't started since May. She shows up here in November, Breeders' Cup weekend, runs really well after that. She got a nice trip in here. She was inside. She saved a lot of ground, while Blue Squall, on the other hand, was kind of wide around there, lost a little bit of ground, looking here to turn the tables. But if you look at where they're drawn in here, it could kind of be the same story.
Yeah, it does feel like they potentially could get similar trips to that effort there. But the other thing that stands out to me, Tanya Showers, nice record at Oaklawn. 2 wins, a 2nd and a 3rd from 5 starts. And to me, maybe she's just a 3-year-old filly that had matured with that little bit of a break from May to November and just grew up a little bit more.
One of the other contenders in there in Minx Palace is going to have Christian Torres aboard, leading rider last year at Oaklawn Park. And you take a look at some of these efforts and looking back at this September effort. And this is going to be taking a look at the 3-year-old by Palace Malice. And from this effort here, I mean, what did you take from this one? Is this one going to be set up here as a lukewarm favorite on the morning line at 3-1?
Look, it's simple for me with Minx Palace. You look at her past performances, you see Lasix off. She doesn't run all that great. You see Lasix on, she runs some of her best races. And that's something you got to pay attention to nowadays, where horses will go on and off of Lasix. And it's something to consider.
I agree, and I think the lack of consistency, because horses not allowed to use Lasix in stakes races, is something that you don't want to fall asleep on, and it is glaring with Minx Palace.
Yeah, it looks like a very competitive heat there. Race number 9, the allowance race, $133,000 purse. Esternia ran yesterday, maybe one that we can kind of take note of as we watch the poinsettia yesterday, and how some of those rivals will stack up in that 9th race. Don't forget, we've got that sign-up bonus right here with Naira Bets. You can join Naira Bets today and play the action on our program and more while earning up to a $200 deposit match bonus. You can sign up with the promo bonus $200 and earn up to a $200 deposit match after your first deposit. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime, and join at nairabets.com to earn your $200 deposit match. Do that today. Tampa Bay, we're going to head out to Oldsmar and head down south and take a look at their $5,000 claiming race, $18,000 person here, scratch of the 6. But taking a look at maybe Samuel Moran, he's got a big long shot in there. We saw him win the prior race there at Tampa. He won the 5th race. But taking a look at the board right now, the 8, Truth and Honesty, Sammy Camacho is going to be aboard. They're sitting there at 2-1.
Yeah, a horse that's been racing primarily on synthetic and has only 1 try on dirt, which left a lot to be desired.
It's an assumption I think we make as a mistake that horses that run well on the synthetic are going to like the dirt. It's also a mistake I think people make where they run well on the synthetic, they're going to like the turf. I don't think that's always the case.
Yeah, plenty of action still to come at Tampa Bay Downs. And we're going to talk about a trainer that's got some horses right there at Tampa Bay Downs. And we're going to talk about Jose D'Angelo and living his dream with success. Plenty more on America's Day at the Races.
Since I was a child, I always loved the horses. More than all the sports, more than everything. My father and my mother told me, like, when they go to pick up me, the teacher say, hey, can we talk with you guys? Your kid put all the chairs in order and sit all his friends, and he say, and they're off. In 2012, I was in university. One friend owns some horses, and I say, Jose, can you train them? Say, of course I can, but you know, I'm studying right now, so I don't have plan to be a trainer. I had the conversation with my father. He support me. I can't finish my university because I start getting so many horses, and you know, I'm doing that I love. I came from a horseman family. My father was trainer in Venezuela. Now, thanks him, we make a good team here. We have a good operation that everybody work with love. When we win a race, it's not me, it's all my crew, all the guys, all the horses. When you run a race, the people see just the race, but the people don't see all the steps that you do, all the obstacles and the problems that the horse can have, because they are athletes that work hard every day. I claim a lot of horses, and we won so many good races with them. Jesus' thing. Everybody call him different, but you understand, he speaks English and Spanish. So I drive Jesus' team from Moquett to here to Saratoga to run the Gene Dandy. You know, we ran all the big races, and always good. He had a bit hard. He always show up, and I'm so proud and happy and blessed to train with him. Going to Royal Ascot was successful experience. You know, was so amazing. Was like a movie be there. You know, I thought we got the race, but was so close. We lost by half leg. Was tough beat. It's tough game, you know, like you lose more than races that you won. So I always try to stay positive and take the right decision for the horses and for me. The goal of every horseman, everybody is go and run the Derby, but more than the Derby, I would like to just try to win at the top level all the races that I can. Yes, I'm proud for sure. I feel good to stay winning races, but I still hungry. I want to go and win more.
And there you see trainer Jose D'Angelo, his 2024 Greatest Stakes winners. And you see Howard Wolowitz and the Franklin Simpson, the Grade 1, Ben Tornado. Nice job there in the Gallant Bob. And then no more time in the Sam F. Davis at Grade 3. And Jose D'Angelo's got a runner coming up in Tampa 6. But talk about signature wins for trainers, for jockeys, for everyone. And it seems like Jose D'Angelo, this has been maybe his best year yet.
Yeah, and he really hasn't been in the States that long. He comes from a deep pedigree as far as a racing family goes, and I love that shot of him in Saratoga and everybody's in T-shirts. It was only 3 degrees there this morning.
Yeah, it's the wrong time of the year with that footage, but I think Jose's a great young trainer, and I don't mean young as in 21. I mean young as in this game. You know, you can the average age of participation's a little bit higher. He definitely falls into that younger category. And I remember specifically one of his wins this summer, Twirling Queen, that turf sprinter that he had up at Saratoga that was really talented. And just talking to him about racing, you know that he loves it and he knows what he's talking about.
The way that it translates to more business, too, that's got to be the biggest thing for a trainer, too, with those Greatest Stakes winners.
Success breeds success in any game, especially in racing. You start winning, more people want you to train their horses.
What do you think about his horse coming up in here, Truth and Honesty, now 9-5, currently Sammy Camacho aboard the 8?
The horse has numbers that make a ton of sense. Those numbers have been earned on synthetic. And you have to ask yourself, how's the horse going to run on a fast track? Only been on the dirt one time, didn't hit the board that day. But, you know, like I said, when I am wondering about a horse's intent, I typically defer to whether or not I think the trainer's good. And if I believe the trainer is good, then I make the assumption the horse will handle the dirt. If it's a bad trainer, then I'm very quick to say this horse can't run on the dirt.
Mick, who would you end up on here?
I'm on the 10, Richie. Come on, how can I not be on the 10, Richie? Comes up a good effort on dirt after spending predominantly racing on synthetic.
Also, a little bit of class drop there. I mean, take a look at that optional 12, drop down 5. I mean, it doesn't concern you at all, but it seems like it's a horse that fits that spot for you?
Oh, I think so. The drop in class and the fact that this horse has already got a good run on dirt.
Are you worried about the spelling?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I couldn't pick it, but, you know, it's not Richard. I mean
Let's send it up to Jason B. and find out what happens here. Track announcer, race 6 at Tampa.
And the race is on. Astronaut Oscar toward the outside was away quickly, as was Sovereign of Speed. Truth and Honesty's coming through between horses in the pink colors. Also Richie right there, and down to the inside comes Sneakiness. Those 5 vying for the early advantage. It's Truth and Honesty just in front of Sneakiness. Astronaut Oscar, Richie, they're out 3rd and 4th. Length and a half more back time taken to the bank. Sovereign of Speed, they're 5th and 6th. Then comes Forward Attitude in 7th. It's a length and a half more to Whistle While You Mow, who advances 8th. DeMoney Honey is back 9th. 2 more back to Camptown Races, Ragtown Blues, and 9th of April is the trailer. 22 and 2 for the opening quarter mile. Still 4 across the track. Astronaut Oscar out wide. Richie is now into the 2nd spot. Between horses, Truth and Honesty pushed along, but Astronaut Oscar trying to get away here at the top of the stretch. Astronaut Oscar in front of length and a half now. In the 2nd spot, Richie. Sneakiness down toward the inside. Sovereign of Speed trying to mount a rally down the center of the track with Forward Attitude, Whistle While You Mow, and Ragtime Blues. Astronaut Oscar has to make another furlong. Richie is coming up on the outside after that one. Sovereign of Speed going to dive down toward the inside. It's Astronaut Oscar and Richie. Richie on the outside with the momentum. Richie has got the win. Astronaut Oscar was 2nd. 3rd went to Sovereign of Speed. 4th, Forward Attitude. And I think Ragtime Blues might have got 5th. It is close for 5th.
Oh, Richie gets the job done. I mean, sometimes handicapping is that simple.
Well, listen, I'm on set. I look down, I see Richie. How can I not pick Richie, even though the spelling isn't correct, Jonathan, 100%? But he was racing on the wrong lead. He looked like he was outpaced coming off the far turn, got back to the outside, and found a bit more.
It's one of the unique times the saddle cloth, jockey silks, and then Tampa does the helmet matching. It all worked out. It's all purple there. It worked out perfectly.
Purple's not your favorite color, is it?
No, purple's not my favorite color, but it looks great on Jonathan.
I got to tell you, it always throws me off when there's like these iconic silks that have the different cap. Like,
yeah, I don't like
Godolphin
that.
with like a pink cap really throws me off.
We'll wrap up the 6th race there from Tampa. Richie getting the job done there in the purple all the way through, and you see them in the paddock right now. Race number 5 coming up there at Oaklawn Park. You got a scratch of the 4 in Wartime Hero. Another scratch in the 10 towards the outside. They're about to get a leg up. Talk about that paddock though real quick, and being down there at Oaklawn Park, and it's a little bit of a different kind of construction as it's within the building.
Yeah, it's underneath the grandstand. It's a little bit tight. Some horses get a little claustrophobic. You see a lot of their big stakes races, though, they saddle out on the turf course.
You know, would you say that it's the lower ceiling that kind of throws them off, and or is it the people being very close to them?
Well, you have people just above the horses, and horses are always a little bit leery of anything above them. Think, they're in the wild, predators are coming from above them. And I said turf course. I meant the infield. They do not have a turf course at Oaklawn Park, because if they did, they'd have to build another barn area to fit all the horses that would go there.
Wow.
Do you see the horses coming onto the track here as they're getting set for race number 5? We're going to have a post parade coming up. It's a $16,000 claiming race in there. They're going to go the 2 turns, the 1 mile distance, and taking a look at some of the prior races and taking a look at some of the speed that we saw like yesterday from Osborne. I mean, do you see that same type of, on a fast track, we haven't seen much wet weather, those same kind of tactics employed, just get to the front, try to slow things down, and maybe the speed is going to keep holding at Oaklawn?
I think speed's always dangerous, particularly in dirt racing. So if you've got a horse with natural speed and you can take advantage of that, you'd be silly not to, right, Jonathan?
I mean, I don't care if you're running on dirt in Dubai, you're running on dirt in California, New York, Hot Springs, or anywhere in between. Being forward is an advantage. So I think sometimes you have to be careful jumping to the conclusion when there's a couple of speed horses that win. Oh, is the track by? No, that's where you want to be.
Post-parade time here for race number 5. Taking a look at the 1 in 7 flat.
Yeah, it's a horse that draws the inside, doesn't have a lot of speed, but he does have the red-hot Christian Torres.
The 2 is Mahamel.
I think Mahamel's form is a little dirtied up. This horse has run very good races on fast dirt tracks. Hasn't won, but good races.
Clayton Robinson, he trains the 3.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. All the shippers coming into Oaklawn and what make it so tricky. This horse has been running in Minnesota.
Scratch the 4. The 5 is CVF Bullet.
Yeah, a horse that needs to get a little bit quicker based off his last race. But that race 2 back, that can put him in the mix.
David Jacobson, he's got the 6 afternoon heat.
Horse that's been flashing good speed sprinting and comes off a win at Oaklawn.
And
First horse I've seen running right back, though, after running at this meeting.
7, Right Tone.
Adding blinkers and cutting back from the 9.5 furlongs.
And we move on to the 8.
Comes out of Remington Park, has a good record at Oaklawn. A 6 for 12 there. You gotta look at that. I believe.
Isaac Castillo is going to be aboard the 9 American Law.
American Law used to run around these parts quite a bit. A horse that seems to have kind of lost his way to a certain extent.
Scratch of the 10 in there, and the 11 is going to be Drifter.
Yeah, has some tactical speed, drawn well, and looks to take a step forward off that first start off a break.
And then the 12, East Side Cool.
Another horse with a nice record at Oaklawn Park, 6 for 14 with 2 seconds. Horrible draw. And this horse is your favorite, and I'm going to try to beat this horse because just being drawn far outside, what kind of trip does this horse work out?
All right, that is the field here for today's 5th race. And for the first time, we're going to head on down to Hot Springs, Arkansas. We're going to welcome in another member of our team, Paul LaDuca, of course, as he's there trackside, getting ready for the great action. You've had fast main track all weekend long. Paul, great to see you one more time here on this Sunday. And happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and let's get some winners today.
Yeah, happy holidays to everybody on set there, too, as well. And I'm going to go with mixed sentiments here that I'm going to try to beat the favorite here in East Side Cool. You got to remember here, guys, this is a one-turn mile that ends at the first finish line. So when you have the outside post, it could be a little bit tough. Now, Kelly Bainham's barn has gotten off to a great start. I had chronicled them earlier in the meet. Their barn, that was Troy Bainham, trained one of my first winners. Kelly knows exactly what she's doing with the horse. So I understand why Eastside Cool is the favorite. I think that horse has the best numbers. Now, when you go to the 8 Poulterer, Mig made a good point. This horse is a win machine. Now, I was talking to Greg Compton. I actually know Greg very well. He doesn't want to drop this horse for 16, but he's wondering if this horse is going to wake up. They're probably going to drop. There's going to be a ton of claims for this horse. When you win 13 times, but he's at the age of 6, and his last couple efforts, he's just not been able to get to the front end. After that 1 3/4 race, he came back at Delaware and really ran well. And then after that, this is significantly easier competition. So if Poulter can get out there, get courage again on the drop, he's a major player in here. Afternoon heat for David Jacobson, going to stretch out to another mile. He does have a 2-turn mile at this level when, David kind of had him before and then he took him right back. I think that's always the key whenever the trainer takes a horse right back. So the 6 is a player in here. I think be able to handle a mile, that's probably the limit. But guys, again, I'm landing on the 1. This has been the connection that's, I think, 3 for 3 at the meet. It's 7 flat, and it's end zone athletics for Abel Ramirez Rodriguez, a horse that, if you look, it was claimed for 10, put over, kind of his head in the Remington Park race, now drops down to 16. I think this horse gets a great draw with the 1 hole, can be tactical speed. I do think the 2, Mahamil, the problem with Mahamil, he's never won on a fast track. Mig chronicled that, all 3 wins on a wet track. But I think the 1's going to sit in a perfect spot in here. And the way this barn is going, and you get Christian Torres, I'll take the price right now at about 7-2 to 5-1.
Thank you very much, Paul. And taking a look at the 1 right now in 7 flat and talking about those efforts. But the angle that Paul was just talking about there, and Mega talking about fast track versus an off track and talking about some of those stats and whatnot. But 7 flat also showing an 0 for 6 at Oaklawn Park.
Yeah, and that's something I look at. I just, worry when a horse hasn't been able to find their best form at a particular track. Every racetrack is made up of a different composition, and you see horses that every year return to Oaklawn and do well, and then some that struggle, JK.
The one thing I will say, and just trying to give our 4-legged friend the benefit of the doubt here, is the last 3 starts, right? He was 24-1, 16-1, and 10-1. He wasn't supposed to win. Now, it's definitely something to take into consideration, and I can certainly understand it being applied to a horse who's kind of a shorter-priced horse, who's not running good over a surface. But when I want to make declarations about horses like maidens who don't want to win, well, are they odds on all the time, or are they 7-1 all the time? Because sometimes I can tell a little bit more of the story about the composition of the horse.
Taking a look at the 12 in Eastside Cool, we're getting a shot of Rocco Bowen on the 3 right now for McLean Robertson, and that is the 3 Burning Leaves approaching the gate. A big number here at 17-1, 4-year-old gelding off of a 2nd-place finish. But from those Canterbury tries, and we've talked about horses coming from different courses, that Canterbury to Oaklawn, has that necessarily been the winning kind of move that we've seen, and when they change those regions and run at this meet?
Yeah, so far, it's a small sampling early in the meeting. We've had 1 winner come out of Canterbury. Now, predominantly Churchill Downs horses have been running, but more horses from Churchill have been running there as well. So you've got to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. I just thought it's interesting that we've had 16 different jurisdictions that horses ran at previously win at this early meet. It gives you an idea of where they're coming from everywhere.
Yeah, it's impossible. And I think part of what your point is that I think that most people, and this is no offense to our friends in Minnesota at Canterbury, it would be considered a drop as a whole from Canterbury to Oaklawn. From Churchill to Oaklawn feels like much more of a lateral move, especially from a purse structure standpoint. So that also checks out that Churchill horses would be winning.
We are seeing the number 12 walk by right now, and that's Eastside Cool. And Kelly Bainham, you talk about the claim. This is an interesting kind of puzzle you're trying to put together, though. Claim from Santa Anita has taken the time off since October. Now you come in at the $16,000 level, $36,000 purse. Lukewarm favoritism was at 7-2, but it seems like the board has been very kind of set at that 7-2 number on Eastside Cool.
Yeah, it's funny when you have a meet like this, Oaklawn, that has such big purses. You'll see these moves from time to time where they'll go shopping at other places. Hey, we got Oaklawn coming up. Let's find some horses we can run, some horses we can spot aggressively into 16s. And look, the horse was claimed for $25,000. Now they're in here for 16, but then they have the purse of 36. If you win, you're out. So it's not the craziest thing in the world. And then if they don't take them, then you're qualified for a starter allowance spot. You can keep running. There's some upside to a move like this.
But I think what you're saying, you're out. You're not probably going to turn a profit between 2 months of training bills and shipping from California, to Arkansas. That being said, I don't like this horse purely because of the post.
And if you're Kelly Bainham, and if you're that barn and that owner as well, you're hoping that if they were thinking about claiming the horse, they're having the same conversation we are right now at the desk, right? They're having the same question mark because they're not sure really what you're doing and what you've got here. So that's either going to make you kind of hesitate and maybe not take the horse so that you can have those conditions later on.
Worst thing that happens is the horse doesn't run and they're out a little bit of money for the difference in the claim and also like Mig said, the expenses. But the upside for a meet like Oaklawn, it's significant.
Got a pick? Top pick?
I'm going to go with the 6 who ended up being favored in here. I like to stretch out for afternoon heat.
I'm going with the 2 horse. I like Inside Post Mahamo.
All right, Matt Dinnerman is going to complete the rest of the load and the call here for race number 5. Don't forget, they still got a pick 5 coming up. Plenty of racing action at Oaklawn Park.
He's just about it. Now he's it. 2 back. Afternoon heat. Into the outside post. East side cool. Here's East side cool. Go again. We're ready to go. And let off. An eventful beginning. There's a lineup for the lead early. Afternoon heat is there with Poulter, who strides forward to take a head lead on afternoon heat. 7 flat on the inside, gets closer. Mahamel in a tight spot has to get out of there and drops to 5th in the early stages. Good battle on the lead here. Poulter has a share of it. 7 flat holds the inside spot and comes punching forward to challenge that front runner. East side cool broke from the far outside post, is right on the leader's tails. Down the backstretch run they go. Afternoon heat in the 4th position. American Law outside of him. Mahamel shuffled back to 6 now. He's 4 off the lead. Another length to Drifter, racing alongside CFV Bullet. 3 back to Right Tone, and Burning Leaves is at the back of the field. 10 lengths from first to last as they head down the backstretch, and it's the old pro, Poulter, setting the pace a half length. East side cool perched outside of him. 7 flat gets a breather in the 3rd position, takes back and is down on the fence. Then comes afternoon heat between horses approaching the 4-turn run. American Law being asked to go now, a joint 3rd with 7 flat as CFV Bullet has come under a hard ride. Mahamel tries to get into it. Right Tone about to pass Drifter, who's backing away, and Breaking Leaves is still far out of it as they come to the top of the lane. Remember, this race will end at the 16th pole. Poulter, East side cool, side by side at the top of the lane. Poulter hugs the rail. East side cool still alongside. In the 3rd position, American Law is grinding away. Right Tone from the back of the field's coming with a powerful run down the center of the track. has 4 lengths to gain. American Law's in front. American Law kicking on now, and American Law to score. American Law over Poulter, third across the line, East Side Cool, and then Right Tone.
Horse hadn't run since October 17th. They're at Delaware in a 6-furlong sprint, but Dan Ward teams up with Isaac Castillo. American Law gets the job done. Looked really nice coming through the stretch.
Yeah, it came with basically the last run, right? We saw the 12-horse make that bold bid, East Side Cool, who was attending the pace set by Poulter. Poulter was able to fend that challenge off, but the fresh challenge coming from number 9, American Law, a little too much to withstand.
Yeah, I mean, he was running away from him late, American Law, and a horse that we became familiar with all the time that he was up here in New York, but he didn't run particularly well in his last start. He didn't have a lot of figures that made him feel like he was going to run this type of performance, but just a couple of starts with Dan Ward and finally got it figured out.
Yeah, a little bit of a throwback effort there. 10 second-place finishes, 6 thirds. First time you've seen the Oaklawn strip, though, and then he wins striding away. And we talked about what that type of win could mean for East Side Cool and some of those other contenders, but what could a win like this mean for the connections of American Law in here?
Well, it's just nice to see. Dan Ward was a long-time assistant trainer to Hall of Fame conditioner Jerry Hollendorfer, and a guy who knows his way around a racehorse. He's been doing it basically his whole life, even if he wasn't the trainer of record like he is now.
Nice effort there from American Law, and gets the job done there. Isaac Castillo, decent number, and still plenty of great racing action to come at Oaklawn Park. We'll come back with plenty more from the desk and plenty more about Tampa and Hot Springs on America's Day at the Races.
Down, get in, 350. Here we go. 3 here, 50, down 4, 8.5, in the back. 1,400,000 stands way in the back. Thank you.
5, $1,005,000, and $1,006,000, $1,006,000, $1,550,000, $1,500,000 and a half. $1,500,000. Jody, thank you.
Please hold your applause.
Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got them. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
This is my Oaklawn.
America's Day at the Races is brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Taking a look at Oaklawn Park. Winner's Circle time, of course, for American Law. Of course, that did contend right here in New York. And Dan Ward, trainee, with a little bit of time off, shows up there in Hot Springs and gets the victory. Isaac Castillo aboard. Nice number, too. About a $22 winner there, so a nice return if you had him. 10-1 on American Law. And it's a nice way to start the day if you had him.
Absolutely. Nice ride by Isaac Castillo, a rider that we've become more and more familiar with watching Oaklawn. And this is the 17th place horses have come out of the win, Delaware Park.
Race number 6 is coming up next here at Oaklawn, and of course we've got that pick 5 coming your way. Scratch of the 3 and Noble Gentleman, and it looks like a pretty even race as Bolt at Midnight is currently holding at 2-1 there for Rafael Bejarano, who will be aboard. We've got to take a quick break. We're going to come right back and we're going to talk more about somebody who they call, I learned from you, Meg, the mayor right there at Hot Springs. We're going to talk about trainer Ron Moquett and all his great times with Whitmore, Oaklawn, and in Hot Springs on America's Day of the Races.
My version of the clubhouse when you go to the racetrack. I always think that the universe takes care of me, but I couldn't imagine doing my job in the winter months without this location.
Ron Moquett built his hideaway along the Oaklawn backstretch in 2015. 3 years later, he was diagnosed with sarcoidosis, an autoimmune disease that makes him especially susceptible to large crowds. He had no idea just how beneficial having Oaklawn as his next-door neighbor would end up being.
This rider is something that he'll forget before he gets to the gates. And different riders are different. You know, Joe Talamo, he kind of warms up and hangs out till he gets there. If you miss Santana, you just miss him. He's a very hyper-focused guy. Takes a little to get used to because I like to watch the horses walk off whenever I leg them up and stuff. And you don't get to do that, but you get to watch them back here warm up. So it's you gain some stuff whenever you lose something. Where's the horse? It's just a sloppy track. I was going to try to tell him to get involved and go on.
They're off. Reeves is the leader past the half-mile pole. A 2-length advantage of Glory's Eyes, who takes second. Closer third at the rail.
From the inside now, trying to get her. All of our dreams, Stargarita. Final surge, all of our dreams in Stargarita.
Third.
Wow, this is an inch.
Third. But I think if we get to the outside, she's probably a lot happier. So this gives me a little good feeling that she might win here at the meet if we get a good trip. So off of a year layoff, that's pretty good. Well, I wouldn't be in Hot Springs, Arkansas if it wasn't for Oaklawn. You know, I wouldn't ever go to Louisville if it wasn't for Churchill. I go where the horses go. And Oaklawn is so endeared to me because Hot Springs and the surrounding area all share my enthusiasm. for the horses and the races. We have the craziest, coolest fans there are.
And there is trainer Ron Moquett, who's had some success, and obviously he's become a real big part of that community right there at Oaklawn.
Like I said, he's the unofficial mayor of Oaklawn, and I mean, what an incredible place he has. I mean, to be right there, step outside your back door, there's the racetrack, watch your horses train. I think that's an ideal situation.
Look, I know how I feel when I'm at Saratoga in the morning watching horses train or walking out on the apron at Santa Anita and watching the horses train. It must be nice to have that in your backyard whenever you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, real pleasure to see the horses warm up, see them race. And Paul, you've seen Ron Moquett there, right there in person. You've talked to him plenty, I'm sure, as well. Kind of your insight and your thoughts on trainer Ron Moquett and just how he's become a part of that community, much like yourself there at Oaklawn Park.
Yeah, I like to consider myself a community, and it's because of Ron. To be honest with you, just take the racetrack stuff away. When I first entered Hot Springs about 4 years ago, I called Ron. He got me my first place. When I needed my first parking pass, I called Ron. You know, he is the guy to go to when it comes to anything in town here at Oaklawn. He's just so much more than that. He's willing to talk to you at any time. He's actually a very, very funny man as well. He's got great humor, and the humor that he has too. I love the way he interacts with his jockeys. You know, he also tells his jockeys, hey, it's up to you. He'll give him a little bit of pointer or not. And every once in a while when he'll get beat, he'll come run by me and he said that the horse ran out of training. He never makes any excuses, but he's cut his teeth here, obviously, at Oaklawn Park. And Whitmore is the other mayor of this place. Ron always tells me, I think if people want to call me the mayor, I'm half mayor, and Whitmore is the other half mayor.
Thank you very much, Paul. And he's got the number 2 in Mount Craig. We'll talk about Mount Craig plenty here as we get set for Oaklawn's 6th race coming up. But we're right on top of post time for race number 7. We get on the turf one more time at Tampa and taking a look at 2-year-olds getting on the turf. When you take a look at this field, a field of 10, the odds-wise, it looks like towards the outside thingamabob. The 9 is taking some action there at 5-2. That's going to be your current favorite as they're getting set to go into the game.
Yeah, you look at the 9 and the 7, they're exiting the same race, and I don't know, they kind of ran the same race. So give me the horse that's, you're getting a little bit of a better price on. They both seem very similar to me. The 7's got gap to gap, has a lot more experience as well. So I thought that one was interesting. The other one I thought made a little bit of sense was City Time, a horse that I thought ran just fine enough last time, but switches barns. And sometimes when a young horse especially, or an inexperienced horse, switches barns, to me that gives a reason as to why the horse can take a step forward. Because he's been the same horse for the last 5 starts, but maybe this is the thing that'll kind of help him turn the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I always say this. I don't think it's an indictment of connections if a horse goes to another barn and does well. Sometimes just a little different approach, a little different way of doing things. There are a lot of really good horsemen and women that do a great job. Horses respond differently to different atmospheres, different routines. City Time is a horse that could certainly take a step forward. This is a trainer that wins at a very high percentage too, John Arnett. The 9, though, thingamabob, gets our man. We've been talking about him a lot, Sam Marin, who, to me, over the last year has really come on as a rider, improved. Just the evolution of him as a rider has been fascinating for me to watch. I think you've got to elevate anything he rides, particularly on the turf.
Yeah, you've talked about how you really like him on the turf course. Terry Pompey does make the change. They put the blinkers on. And we talked about this question yesterday a little bit with 2-year-olds later in the year, but horses that have tried a few things, they've tried different surfaces as their 2-year-old seasons are coming towards an end. Now you get some first-time starters in there, too. And we were talking about Jose D'Angelo, trainer Jose D'Angelo. He's got the 8 in there, first-time starter at 13-1. And Kathleen O'Connell's got a 7-2 shot there with the 4 and Flash Frozen. Do you start to take a look at some first-timers because everybody else has also kind of tried this already?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always an opportunity. The first thing you want to do when you look at these maiden races is start with the horses that have run. Understand what they've been doing, why they've been doing it, how they've been doing it, and are they dropping from maiden special weight to maiden claiming? But if they've been getting beat consistently at maiden claiming, well, why today? What's different? Like I talked about earlier, the 6-horse switching trainers, that's one thing to lean on. Outside of that, then it opens the door to start looking at first-time starters. The tricky thing about first-time starters in maiden claiming races is if they were good and giving a lot of good signs, they'd probably be running protected, and they're not.
Was it easy to ride first-time starters on the turf? going
no,
two turns.
And particularly two turns. They're throwing a lot of new things at them at once.
Jason Beam with the call, race 7 at Tampa.
They're in the gate. And the race is on. Good start toward the inside for Skyloft, who was out quickly. Baby Antonio flashing good early speed, and Thingamabob is prominent as well on the outside. And Thingamabob going to go up to grab the lead from Baby Antonio, who's wrestled back in that second spot along with Skyloft. Just in behind that comes Lodato, the first-time starter in the pink colors, is fourth, going to be 3 deep as they run to that turn. Gray Shadow going to be 4 or 5 deep on the far outside as Grand Liam tucks in behind them. After that comes No Telling, who gets down toward the inside. No Telling in a bit of a tight spot as well. Then comes Gap to Gap. Outside of that one comes Flash Frozen, and it's 5 more back to City Time, who's the early trailer. But Thingamabob is the leader. Thingamabob through an opening quarter in 23 seconds flat. Lodato now all the way up to the second spot. Gray Shadow rushing up on the outside to take over third. Back to fourth is Skyloft, who broke sharply but settles 2.5 off the top trio up front as they really stack up top. Starting to make some progress. Flash Frozen, the first-timers, up into that 5th spot. Then comes Grand Liam. 3 more back to Baby Antonio. Gap to Gap. No Telling with 1 beat, and that's City Time, who trails. 48 seconds for the opening half-mile time. Thingamabob with pressure from Lodato. Gray Shadow's bid was short-lived, has quickly been passed now by Grand Liam. Also in amongst horses there is Skyloft. As they wind around that far turn, Thingamabob, Lodato, Grand Liam crying out for room down toward the inside. Skyloft's between horses, trying to get back into the bid as Gray Shadow. Flash Frozen's made some good progress, and the yellow color is going to swing toward the outside. Flash Frozen out to about the 3 path. Thingamabob cuts the corner in front of Grand Liam. Flash Frozen trying to reel that one in down the far outside. It's Thingamabob to the furlong grounds. Flash Frozen. Grand Liam still battling away in between horses, back to third. Thingamabob, Flash Frozen has some real momentum on the outside. He's got to stay straight, though. Flash Frozen, Thingamabob, Flash Frozen. I don't know, he had his head up pretty high. It ended up really, really close there between Flash Frozen and Thingamabob. Long way back to Grand Liam and the rest.
We think the 4 got up. It got a little tight there right at the line. What did we see here in this stretch run?
Well, the first-time starter, Flash Frozen, from the Kathleen O'Connor, very green, lugging in badly on Antonio Gallardo, who's doing everything he can to keep him straight. Now, he looks like he's got him here, and then he takes a step in at him again, and he grabbed him. I still think he won, but he was just trying hard not to run into the pacemaker Thingamabob, who set all of the fractions and just did not last, I don't believe.
My favorite part about sitting next to you, Meg, is being able to ask these questions that I always wonder. Did you ever try to time putting the head down when you're running next to a horse in terms of like trying to find that bob?
Well, you can't change a horse's stride, right? But in a situation like that, when a horse is lugging in, you want to drop their head right at the wire, because if you're holding them up, you're slowing down their forward progress. So you're trying to ride that fine line between going forward at the right moment without bothering the horse inside of you. And I think he snatched him up late because he was going to just broadside Thingamabob. It was closer than I thought watching it on that slow-mo.
So when you're taking a look at it, though, you're talking about more of a safety measure when you're saying that he's trying to make sure that he's not lugging in too much and leaning on that horse, which that horse was definitely showing a tendency to do.
Well, if he runs into Thingamabob and wins, then there's going to be an inquiry, and there's a potential to come down. And somebody much smarter than me told me many years ago, there's 2 rooms you want to stay out of, the courtroom and the operating room, because you never know which way it's going to go. I'll add the steward's room to that.
We did hear that the winner of the photo there was the 4 in Flash Frozen, a 2-year-old gelding. First-time starter there, Kathleen O'Connell, Bifrosted, gets the nose down, gets the photo, and gets the win there at Tampa. We are getting a post parade coming up here for race number 6 at Oaklawn Park. It does start a pick 5 sequence with 10 races on the card. 1 scratch of the 3 in Noble Gentleman, and Ron Moquett, he's got a horse in here in the 2. We're going to go through this field, but again, we see just kind of favoritism, not really a heavy favorite right now. It's back and forth between the 5, Bolt at Midnight, Chris Hartman trainee, Rafael Bejarano, we'll talk about these horses in just a second, and the 6, both sitting there at 5-2. They really love this post parade sometimes. I'm trying to time it perfectly. I'm not quite there yet.
Well, right when you think they're going to turn around.
No, they walk a long way down in front of the crowd, and they usually have a pretty decent crowd at Oaklawn Park, and people like to see the horses.
That's true. They do like to see those horses when they come out onto the track. We're going to get a post parade here, taking a look at the 1 first, the Mike Stidham trainee. That's the 1, Contemplation.
Yeah, a horse that had some tactical speed at one point. I mean, was sprinting one time, made the lead going 6 furlongs. We'll need that speed here today.
Ricardo Santana Jr. on the 2.
who won by 16 3/4 lengths at Belterra last time. Tried to do an imitation of his father, winning the Travers. This is much tougher.
Scratch of the 3. Isaac Castillo, he just won one. Here's the 4.
Yeah, Devil's Mischief, speed, sprinting. I got to think this is the speed of the speed here.
5-2. Bolt at Midnight.
Yeah, this is a horse that I thought could make the lead in here if they were ridden aggressively.
And the 6 is Fear of Union.
It comes off a nice effort when he was dropped to the maiden 50 level to get it done at Churchill. Major player.
The 7 is Money Shot.
Be curious to see what happens with this one. Another one with some tactical speed could make the front if aggressively ridden.
And the 8, Ultimate Strike.
Put it all together last time. Made a huge middle move the time before and got picked off for maiden 20. Now stepping up against winners for 50.
Horse taking some action, the 9.
Yeah, broke extremely slow last time, was wide all the way around there. But the problem is this horse seems to always break slow.
$55,000 claiming 9 non-winners of 2 lifetime. A mile and a 16th is the distance. A 2-turn race, another 2-turn race here at Oaklawn. Did we learn anything from that 2-turn race that we just saw? Do we have the winner here? Let's go to Paul, find out more here about Oaklawn's 6th race.
Well, guys, yeah, I apologize. It's the holiday season. I didn't shave today, so I think I broke the camera. But you still got my voice here. When I look at this race, Bolt at Midnight is very interesting. Mick Ruiz stable brought in horses under Ruiz Racing, and they've basically put them in the Chris Hartman barn. Now, they had one run yesterday that did not run well. Then they had one run 109-1 on this racetrack that was playing deep. I remember Mig asking me yesterday about how deep the track was playing. I think it's a little faster today, Mig, but it's still pretty deep, and you got to have fitness. So I can understand, the 5 is probably getting played because of that. I do think that, he's probably the horse to beat. Now, the 6, Fear of Union, I talked to Greg Compton. He loved the horse. He's a big sheet player when it comes to claiming his horses. That's why he claimed the 6. So the horse has been absolutely training well. He loves the horse. That's actually what he told me. He said, I really like this horse today. I think we got a big shot. I think I got him ready. And then he was making a joke to me that, Money Shot, the 7. He's like, don't give up on the 7, the Money Shot here. And he's like, and he said him and Ian Jewell are friends. And he said, whoa, Ian's dressed up here today. I haven't seen him dressed up in a while. So maybe Money Shot's the outsider in here. But this is a horse that's been in all stakes races for, the last 5 or so. And a pretty good story. I understand 1 for 12, but has been running up in Canada at Hastings Park. Gets Lasix today for the $55,000 tag. So at 6-1, I thought it was those 3 horses. I know that Mount Craig is getting money. He is a giant specimen of a horse, and he finally broke through. And maybe this wakes him up. That could be the ultimate light bulb angle. When you win by 17 lengths, I could see where people are going with the 2. But I thought 5, 6, or 7 in here. If I had to pick one of them, I'd probably land on the Greg Compton horse, the 6 in here, Chris.
Thank you very much, Paul. Taking a look at the 6, his top pick right now, and looking at Fear of Union. And he talked about all the different angles that he really liked here with the number 6. And off of that win, Greg Compton, off the claim, with that time off, does seem like a winning angle, currently sitting at 3-1.
Yeah, and a horse that they're coming off of back-to-back good efforts, right? He was beating a nose, maiden allowance, dropped to maiden 50, but a horse that seems like he's coming in here in good form off the freshening, and Greg Compton, certainly a guy who knows how to win.
This pace is going to be fast. There's a horses in here that have speed. There's a stretch-out sprinter. I'm going to go with the 1, Contemplation on the inside, a horse that ran well off of a break last time. And from that inside, not having the speed to be able to keep up, kind of gets forced into having to take that kind of take back, make one run type of trip, because there's no shot Contemplation can hold that position going into the first turn. He's going to have to kind of take back, and I hope that he'll inherit that trip that I'm envisioning, which is that kind of late running trip with a bunch of horses that I think they're going to try to fight for that lead into the first turn.
Ricardo Santana Jr. is going to be aboard the Ron Moquett trainee and the 2 in Mount Craig off of a big win at Belterra, 16 lengths. Obviously, this isn't Belterra, this is Oaklawn Park, but can that type of win kind of perk this horse up? And, as you talked about, that light bulb angle, kind of now it figured out how to finish in front of other horses.
Well, it's kind of interesting, right? This is a 5-year-old son of Arrogate. That took him a long time to break his maiden. Horses don't fully mature till 5, but he's late in his 5-year-old season. Do you think that's a race he can build on?
I mean, it's a possibility, right? I mean, these horses can – sometimes they wake up when they get back to Oaklawn Park. Sometimes trainers will point to that. But my eyes, Mig, you got me wondering now, talking to me about the 9 on a horse like that stops breaking. Sometimes they can really stop breaking.
Yeah, the 9 Shattuck has always kind of had that propensity to break slowly. Last time, absolutely hesitated. And when you see that progression, they go from slow breaks to hesitant breaks. I've seen it a lot in the past. One day, they'll just absolutely flat out refuse.
All right, we're going to see what happens here in race number 6. It does start a pick 5 sequence there, the late pick 5 at Oaklawn Park as they continue the load. Matt Ditterman has got a couple more to go. We'll find out what happens here to kick off this late pick 5.
And to the outside, Shattuck to round out the field. Here's Shattuck go again. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Devil's Mischief bolt at midnight side by side in the first 16th, and they spar in that first 16th of a mile. Contemplation getting off the rail in the 3rd position, racing alone in a good position, stalking the top 2, going into the first turn run. Mount Craig is next, racing with Fear of Union, a length and a half to Ultimate Strike. Money Shot drops back to the second last position, and Shattuck can only see backside as a strung-out group approaches the backstretch run. Devil's Mischief a neck in front, bolt at midnight, hounding from the outside. A length and a half to Contemplation, still off the fence. Mount Craig joins him from the inside on the rail. Now on the tail of that front runner, Devil's Mischief, who's still on top by just a head. A gap of 2.5 lengths to Fear of Union. Ultimate Strike, they're side by side. They're 2.5 clear of Money Shot and another 4 or 5 to Shattuck. At the back, will need to pick up the pace from there. They approach the far turn run. Devil's Mischief, bolt at midnight, a neck apart. Devil's Mischief with that narrow edge. Mount Craig waiting on the rail 3rd. Contemplation in the 3 path. And Ultimate Strike getting closer between that pair. Then Fear of Union kept out of harm's way on the outside, 4 behind, with Money Shot, who gets a giddy-up reminder, begins a move. And Shattuck is underway, still at the back, but he's getting a little bit closer as they round the far turn and approach the top of the lane. Devil's Mischief bows right out of it. Bolt at midnight finds himself in front, and Bolt at midnight is clear coming off the turn. Now Ultimate Strike is asked to go, and with a big run, Ultimate Strike is up to engage the front runner, Bolt at midnight. It's Ultimate Strike on the outside, now going to the front. Bolt at midnight second, Money Shot into 3rd, alters to the outside for the final 16th. Bolt at midnight waited for Ultimate Strike, and when Ultimate Strike came alongside, Bolt at midnight says nope. Bolt at midnight got it. Bolt at midnight would not let Ultimate Strike win it, and Bolt at midnight prevails. 3rd home, Money Shot.
Well, Bolt at midnight is going to prevail there in that photo, but if you had the 8 Ultimate Strike to start your pick 5 and you were looking at a 21-to-1 shot to kick off your sequence, ooh, looked like you put the nose down in front, and Bolt at midnight just kept coming back, fighting back, and got the job done.
Some losses are worse than others. And if you bet the 8, I want you to know that I sincerely feel for you, because you got a cheap thrill for a very long time, and it's very annoying because you were likely best. You moved early onto the turn and just looked like you were going to run by. You might even have slipped in a little bit of a clap, maybe a little bit of a light fist bump, and then he just would not go past that horse.
Well, you know, it's like a gas gauge, right? When you make your run, you're using up that gas, and he just ran out of gas because of that kind of middle move that he made around the far turn. Most horses have about a 1/4 mile run in them. You know, I hear a lot of people say, oh, he got a 3/8 of a mile run. No, unless they're a really good horse, about a 1/4 mile is where it's at, and he made almost a 1/2 mile run. So I agree with you. I think Ultimate Strike was best. But this is the second Ruiz Racing horse making their first start for the Chris Hartman in the last few days to win.
And it's pretty cool. Ruiz Racing, I mean, I think it's fair to say that their fame came and was surrounded by Bolt Doro, this being a son of Bolt Doro. And, man, he was a cool horse, Bolt Doro. Sensational 2-year-old.
And a terrific sire now, too.
All right, guts it out, comes right back, and the 5 gets the job done. 6-5 there to kick off your pick 5. We had a favorite yesterday also get the job done there in the poinsettia. We're going to talk about Spirit Win. That effort just off the pace when we come back on America's Day at the Races.
They come on for the finish in the Pilgrim Stakes. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Coolmore Turf Mile.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got them. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants.
Drain the Clock will bound home the winner. Drain the Clock, Jackie's Warrior, drain the clock by a head.
$120,000. $100,000 in the back.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. Get a nice shot of the gate, starting gate there at Oaklawn Park, Hot Springs, Arkansas. We've seen some great racing action so far on the day. A fast-made track, so it's gorgeous weather out there. And we saw a nice stakes race yesterday, of course, too, in the Poinsettia. But there is Bolt at Midnight. And those are the connections. Chris Hartman, trainee. Take a look at those silks that we just spoke about yesterday, getting another win today. Rafael Bejarano, he's been doing it for quite some time. He's been kind of changing some locations, changing venues, but found a nice winner there with Bolt at Midnight.
And a game dance partner in Bolt at Midnight who took a bold and relentless challenge from Ultimate Strike, who might have moved a bit early, kind of ran out of gas a little bit late. You'll even see very late in the game, Jonathan, he switches back to his left lead. That's when a horse is completely out of air and they're just grasping at straws, trying to get one last ounce out of themselves.
I think two things can be right here. The 8 Ultimate Strike, I thought, probably ran the best race. But the winner, Bolt at Midnight, deserves a lot of credit because at this level, horses like this can 100% spit it and let a horse run right by him, and Bolt at Midnight was not allowing that to happen.
Yeah. Ooh, man, just a tough beat there, though. Those are the ones that make you a little sick as a better when you see that you've run right by them in the stretch and then they come back on the inside. And we took a look at Spirit Win when we went to commercial break, and we were talking about her effort yesterday, and she changed tactics a little bit, and we thought that she might be forwardly placed, but she's been just a real easy horse to ride. It seems like a loose rein. First time for Fernanda Hauer getting aboard, and we saw that she's been able to do this before, but this was an impressive effort.
It was an impressive effort. She got outfooted by Esternia from the outside. I wasn't as concerned with the inside runner that had more speed than her. It was the outside runner, but Fernando Hauer drove or rode a little bit defensively. When you're on the best horse, sometimes you just want to get them where they can use their stride. He got her out to the clear, and she did what she does best, going 5.5 furlongs.
I mean, I don't think there's any more dangerous weapon in racing than a horse with speed that's willing to rate, because they can always put themselves into position to work out nice trips. She got a perfect trip, but it wasn't because she got lucky. It's because that's who she is. The argument's been made for years about American Pharoah always getting perfect trips because he made those perfect trips himself.
Yeah, that always drove me crazy. When a horse has got natural speed and they're talented, they will create good trips for themselves. It doesn't happen by accident.
The Safi Joseph Jr. trainee does a nice job there, gets it done, and it was Spirit Win. Triumphant in the Poinsettia Stakes yesterday, just getting the jump on Fibber, Royal Spa, some other horses we talked about. We'll see where she ends up going next in her next start and her campaign going into 2025. But up next, when we come back, we're going to talk about the allowance races coming up from Tampa. Plenty more on America's Day at the Races.
post, the barrier, the stalls, the iron monster, the starting gate. There's so many key and important times in a race where jockeys have to make quick decisions, when to move, when to sit, wait behind horses. But to me, one of the most critical times in a race is leaving the starting gate. If you don't break cleanly, you can get shuffled back, taken out of position, and it's hard to get a horse in a good rhythm. Starts are so important. I want you to know what goes on inside the starting gate. Come on with me.
Hey, wait for the truck. All right. Yeah.
Key to breaking sharp from the gate is having your horse warmed up, alert, but settled. You want them relaxed. We got a great gate crew here in New York, and they know all the horses, their habits, what to expect. Put them in the gate, get them square, looking down the track, and be ready to go.
Try to get as relaxed as I can on my horse before we go in the gate. And once I get in there, I want to let him walk in and take a deep breath and make sure the gate guy get up, because I want to make sure he starts setting his feet correctly. And you know the ones that's going to sit in there and be still, but I just want to keep it as relaxed as I can going into the gate with the horse, where the horse can feel like he's going to do his job. I'm going to just stay out of his way.
If you get one that cuts right to the gate, sometimes they'll balk. It's a kind of a closed space. Some horses are a little claustrophobic. Important to pick up your feet so you don't get your legs caught on the side of the gate. You could feel their energy. Sometimes you'll feel their heartbeat beating on your leg. Again, want to keep them relaxed, settled, get them square. The assistant starters are so good at getting the horse nice and balanced. Sometimes you get one that's leaning a little too far, you'll take your leg, push off the petition, get them where you want them to be. Looking down the racetrack, all four legs square on the ground. Last horse gets ready to go in, you're gonna take your half cross, take a piece of mane, one hand, other hand free in case horse breaks left or right, you can correct them, and you're gonna be leaving here in a hurry.
Well, a lot of people wait on the guys to say one out to get all set and ready. You know, I'm not, you know, you can hear the guy say one out, but I'm mostly paying attention to the guy with the button. That's how I break so fast out the gate, you know. I'm a button guy, you know. Or I listen to the last door sound and the button. And after that, early position wins the race most of the time.
So many moving parts that make a horse break well or break poorly. It's important to have great communication between the rider and the assistant starters, as well as the official starter, and working with the trainers to make sure that if a horse is a little bit nervous, they school them, they get them where they're relaxed around the gate. It's not always the horse that's the most keyed up that breaks the best. It's the horse that's alert and settled and balanced in the gate. Then you can leave the gate in a hurry.
You know, we think about so much the finish of the race and getting across the wire and what happens in that final eighth of a mile, that final furlong of the race, but the start is such a vital part to being successful on the racetrack and winning.
The last thing you want to do, and I learned this from Angel Cordero, one of the greatest riders in the history of racing, is have a horse that's naturally faster than his rivals and get caught behind those slower rivals. Horses use way more energy having to fight their way through traffic and get around or through inside of horses that they're just naturally quicker than. So you want to leave the gate, get your position, establish your position, and then your horse gets in a good rhythm. And that was one of the biggest takeaways early in my career that Angel Cordero taught me. Leaving the gate and getting position, critical.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we talked about it earlier about Oaklawn. You know, in dirt racing in this country, being forward is a better place to be. Now, There's some horses that's just not who they are. But if you have a horse that has some speed, being forward is where you want to be, and that starts from popping away from the gate. And I think that, you know, you look back at any big performance, any great performance, any big win you might have had as a horse player with a horse that is forward. Watch that break from the gate. It usually always is perfect.
Yeah, and when horses kind of signal when they're good because they leave the gate with run on their mind, that means they're focused and into their job. Even if it's a closer, when you see a horse snap away from there quickly, they're going to run.
This is a good time to also give a quick shout out to the assistant starters that are in there with you, that are helping you in that gate, because there's another human right there that's responsible for a lot of different aspects.
Well, and they put themselves in harm's way to save horses and riders from injury. I mean, I've been in a tough spot, a horse upside down with me kind of caught up in there, and all of a sudden you get these superhero arms kind of reach in there and rip you out of a spot. And at their own peril. So my hat's off to the men and women that do that job as well as the outriders. Really selfless kind of a job.
And is it intense? Is it the intensity of getting in there? It's a big stakes race. You're in the gate. You're looking straight ahead. What is that? If you're sitting at home, what is that feeling? Can you even describe that?
Well, there is an electricity around the starting gate, during races. A lot of times horses that have a tendency to act up in the gate, they'll school them in the morning. A lot of horses are very calm about it in the morning because there's not that atmosphere, that anticipation, that electricity. It's in the afternoon when you're loading with 6, 8, 10 other horses, right? And they can feel your nervous energy a little bit and how you want them to get them out of there. So it's a fine line. You want them alert, focused, but you don't want to be too amped up yourself because horses feed on your energy.
All right. We've got them heading to the starting gate right now. We're going to see some of that intensity as they get set to load. For the 8th race coming up, it's a 2-turn race, a mile of 16th, and pretty heavy favorite right now as the money has come in on the 5 in Havildar, and that's going to be a 4-year-old colt by Arrogate. Victor Barboza, junior trainee. Jose Bautista is going to be aboard. Warranting that 65 price, JK?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you look at the figures that this horse has been running compared to what everyone else in here has been doing, I would think that it makes a little bit of sense. This horse's bet here. Has been running an allowance company, shows up here in this spot. Yeah, I guess the 6 Prairie Hawk has a couple of back numbers, but those numbers haven't really been seen in the last 4 starts or so. Havildar has been running these numbers.
We love the racing at Tampa Bay Downs, but I think horses that run well at Gulfstream, and more so on the dirt, it's a little bit easier for them there at Tampa Bay Downs, right? Just the competition's just a little bit, less than they might be facing up at Gulfstream. You'll see a lot of good turf horses go there, and you'll see big-name trainers and Bill Mott and Chad Brown, Todd Pletcher run horses on turf there. They want to break a maiden or get a horse started. But you see a dirt horse run well at Gulfstream, you got to elevate their chances at Tampa.
Why do you think they're so cold on the number 3 in Mugatu, and this horse 7.5 lengths behind Havildar, 2 starts back at Gulfstream? Is it strictly that? Is it looking at that effort and saying that this horse has to make up 7 lengths, warranting 6-1 versus even money?
Yeah, I think it's that. I also think that we make mistakes as horse players at times, looking at the most recent races. If you toss the last 2, 3 back, 4 back are definitely competitive in this spot.
All right, we'll see if Prairie Hawk can be the controlling speed. Prairie Hawk does need to break better out of the gate, but also that big drop in class. Jason Beam has got a couple more to load here, and we'll see what happens in this mile of 16th. Pretty competitive race here, but the bettors have really zoned in on the 5, Havildar. Let's see what happens in Tampa's 8th. Jason Beam with the call.
Marcos Meneses had a 3-win day yesterday. Swing low. Pedro Cotto Jr. to complete the line. Goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Dune Road from the inside. Slim Slow Slider flashing some good early speed. Slim Slow Slider, the long shot, going to take command of the early going. Prairie Hawk tugging up now to be second, swinging solo third as they run toward that first turn. Dune Road broke sharply but settles back at joint fourth along with Moquett. In between horses, Pando is sixth. The top 6 only covered 3.5, 4 lengths. Down at the inside comes Overhaul. Havildar, the favorite, is second last. And it's 3 more back to Swing Low, who's the early trailer. Slim Slow Slider is the leader, 3/4 of a length in front of a tugging, willing Prairie Hawk after that 24-1 opening quarter mile. It's a length and a half more back to a lineup of 3 between horses Mugatu, out 3 deep, swinging solo. Dune Road down at the fence. The top 5 just covered 2.5. It's 2 more then. Back to Pando, who races alone in 6th. Havildar's a length and a half behind that one. It's 2.5 more back to Overhaul and Swing Low, those 2 at the back. Just over a half mile left to go. Slim Slow Slider with pressure throughout from Prairie Hawk, and Prairie Hawk right up on level terms after a 48-3 opening half mile. A length and a half more back to Swinging Solo, who's trying to get a little bit closer now up into 3rd. Mugatu is back 4th. Pando moving in between horses from 5th. Starting to wind up on the outside, Havildar, the gray, has also made some good inroads as well, as drawn within 3 of the leader as they wind around to the top of the stretch. Prairie Hawk goes to the front. Swinging Solo tries to go with that one. Down toward the inside, Slim Slow Slider back to 3rd. Havildar continues to make progress, is 4 wide, but is gaining on the leaders as Prairie Hawk turns him in. Slim Slow Slider still battling on. Havildar right down the center of the track with Swinging Solo. Still got to get to Prairie Hawk, who's just in front. Prairie Hawk, Slim Slow Slider, Pando down at the rail. Havildar down the center of the course. Final 16th to go. Prairie Hawk, Slim Slow Slider, Pando down at the inside. Havildar surging on the outside. A wild finish. Havildar in the final strides got up to get it. Slim Slow Slider, Prairie Hawk, and Pando are right there, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Long way back to Swinging Solo 5th.
And it is the 5, Havildar, who was bet down to favoritism, really gets the job done in the late stages, running by 3 rivals in that stretch.
He made his big run around the far turn, did not corner well, right? His big horse kind of spread the turn, lost ground, and almost stalled there for a moment or two. And then he reasserted himself, dropped his head, and you saw that big old arrogate stride on him is what bailed him out and got him home.
It's funny you mentioned that. We had all that talk about the gate, and I was thinking while we were sitting here, I'm like, what's the most impressive bad gate performance I've ever seen? And it's definitely Arrogate, when he completely missed the break at the Dubai World Cup and came rolling down the middle of the track to beat Gunrunner, who was an eventual horse of the year and an absolute freak. The fact that he did that. Now, Havildar broke a little bit better than Arrogate did that day in the desert, but it did make me think of that with those 2 horses.
When Arrogate hadn't shown that ability yet, he had been a horse that was forward and used that relentless way of going, that stride. So for him to do that, I agree with you. That probably was the best bad break effort we ever saw.
Victor Barboza Jr., the trainer, gets the job done there, and Jose Bautista Havildar gets it done at a short price there. Looks like about 7-5 there for Havildar in Tampa's 8th. Race number 7 coming up at Oaklawn. Postbury time, there's the 1.
Wet and Wild was my favorite water park in Dallas, Texas growing up.
Next up, the 2, Good Like Magic.
Dropping down for Norm Casse. Was claimed for 20, tried 50, now 30, maybe in a more appropriate spot with Ricardo Santana.
The 3, Sound Doctrine.
Yeah, has some speed last time and got pressure from the outside, and looks that that's going to be the same thing to happen here today.
Tom Amos has a runner here in the 4, Western Command.
With Christian Torres, a trainer that understands the value of speed with a rider that understands the value of speed.
And there's the 5, K-Crown.
We saw Dan Ward already had a win here on the card today. This is a horse that hasn't run since July, but looks like he might be running well here today.
The 6 is Powerful.
Dropping in class for Steve Asmussen with his son Keith aboard.
Tom Amos has a runner right here. That's the 7 here at 8-1.
Another Tom Amos runner, shipping up from Louisiana just like him.
The 8 is Husker Butch. Excuse me.
Getting back to dirt is going to have to find a race we haven't seen recently.
And the 9 is going to be League of Legends at 15-1.
Yeah, this horse ran well last time. It hasn't run since Oaklawn closed back in May.
And next up will be the 10 towards the outside here. That's JJ's Ranger.
I think this horse has some races that could be competitive here and at a big price at 15-1.
And rounding out this field will be the 11. That's Boat Song.
I think this one's very interesting. I love when I feel like the fastest horse in the race is drawn outside because I feel like it gives them a lot of different options, and I feel that way about this one.
All right, we got a field of 11 getting set to go the 6 furlongs, a 30,000 non-winners 3 lifetime race coming up. A couple minutes till race number 7. Paul, who do you like here in today's 7th at Oaklawn?
Well, what a difficult race, man. I mean, I think there's like 6 or 7 horses that can actually win this race, but I'll start with the 2. For Norm Casse. He took this horse off of Brad Cox, and the last effort, the horse got left from the rail and just kind of got squeezed out of there. And I like the courage that the horse ran on with that day. Was 9-1, drops down to 30. I think this is more where he wants to be, I would think. So he has shown speed in the past. Maybe it was just one of those things where he just got away slow. They also went 21 in 44, so they kind of ran away from him early, even though if you look, even though he broke 7th, he was only about 6 lengths behind the lead. So if he breaks a little bit better today, I thought he would be at the 3-1 morning line, but there's just a lot of horses you can go to in here, and I think a sound horse in here is the 3, Sound Doctrine, no pun intended. Gennaro Garcia has gotten off to a phenomenal start to this meet. He had another winner yesterday. I'm in agreement with JK, the 11 could be the fastest or the 3. It's between those 2. I think the 11 might be faster, but maybe from the outside post. Now, Emmanuel Esquivel doesn't really send a lot, but this horse only knows one way to go. And I just think the way that Gennaro's horses are running right now, the 3 might stick around a lot longer than you think. Now, the 6, Powerful for Steve Asmussen. This is a big drop in class from the 80 level down to 30. Just 2 for 15 lifetime, 0 for 11 the last 2 years. But the competition has just been elite compared to what he's facing today, the son of Nyquist. And, he's kind of a even grinding horse. And, you look at Oaklawn, he hasn't done well here. It seems like those even grinding horses don't do that well here. But you just can't ignore the drop. And I understand why that horse right now is 7-2. And then the 1, Wet and Wild. had to see JK going down a slide in Texas, but I think there was a Wet and Wild in Phoenix when I was growing up too as well. Maybe that was a chain. I don't know. But the one in here for Norm McKnight, usually he works horses over. There is a main dirt track at Woodbine. He brings this horse in from Toronto, and he worked this horse over the synthetic. Now, the horse had recent racing. An unknown in here with Isaac Castillo. I thought that was the other horse in here at 11-1, but I'm going to stick with the Norm Casse runner, Good Like Magic. I don't know if I like that 3-1 price, but I got to stick where I chose there, Chris.
Very good, Paul. Thank you very much. Taking a look at the 2 and Good Like Magic, and the horses are heading towards the gate. And any thoughts from you guys? Who do you like here coming up?
Well, yes, I did ride the slides, and there was it probably wasn't chain. I'm going to go towards the outside. I mean, I agree. Paul with the 3, that horse did have some speed back in the day, some real fast speed. But I like the fact that the 11's drawn outside of him, and that's why I ended up siding with the 11.
I wound up on the 10. JJ's Ranger. I just thought this horse got some races that make this horse a bit interesting at a big price. I misspoke earlier, 8-1, but I'm okay with that.
We continue to see some of these horses. Well, we did have Bolt at Midnight go off at 6-5 there at post time, so we did see a short price favorite in there, but kind of everybody's sitting right at this 3-1, 8-1 mid-range prices. If you were out of that pick 5, that does kick off a pick 4. Is this a tough first leg to a pick 4, a late pick 4 like this?
Every leg at Oaklawn is tough because you have all these horses that are just coming from everywhere with class drops. The purses are so high. They're all impossible.
Tom Amos has a couple in here. We'll find out what happens in this upcoming 7th race, $30,000 claiming level, and we'll find out more about this first leg of the pick 4. Maybe some of those prices later on, especially looking at that 9th race feature. But we got race number 7 coming up. Matt Dinnerman, track announcer, with the call.
And Boat Song to the outside. Waiting for Boat Song. We kick off the late pick 4 here. The 6-furlong contest. We're ready to go. And we're off. Good start. Husker Butch up on the lead. Sound Doctrine hit the ground running and is forwardly placed. Here comes K-Crown to be part of the action. Powerful, aggressively ridden to get close to. It's Sound Doctrine with a head in front. K-Crown keeping the pressure on all the way. Powerful, still aggressively ridden third in the 3 path. Wet and Wild down on the inside. A joint 4th with Good Like Magic. Deep is JJ's Ranger. Husker Butch as they go into the far turn run. Then comes Western Command, 7 lengths off the pace. Sutherland is second to last, and League of Legends is at the rear of the field as they round the far turn. Here comes K-Crown to challenge Sound Doctrine. They're even. They're a length and a half clear of Boat Song, racing alone third, while sent along. Good Like Magic going in the wrong direction. Needs to turn it around. Husker Butch just passed him. He's with Powerful at the top of the lane. K-Crown on the outside cruises to the front. K-Crown and Tyler Bacon putting away Sound Doctrine, who's second on the inside. He's fighting back, though. Look at that. I was wrong about that. Sound Doctrine coming back at K-Crown, and that was a big-time hang job by K-Crown because Sound Doctrine didn't let him by and just breezed away from him. Sound Doctrine pulling away by 2.5. K-Crown was second. League of Legends third. Photo for 4th. Husker Butch and Powerful.
Gennaro Garcia, trainer, continues his winning ways there. Hooks up again with Manny Esquivel and Sound Doctrine battling back to get the victory. The 3 good at a decent number, looked about 6-1, and that's a nice victory again. We saw passing the stretch, comes right back to win.
Yeah, K-Crown made this big, bold run, the Dan Ward tradie under the precious Tyler Bacon. But the 3, Sound Doctrine, was having none of it and reasserted himself and drew away powerfully late. They were shoulder to shoulder at the 8th pole, but Sound Doctrine just best.
Right idea, wrong horse. Paul had talked about the 3 and the 11, and we both agreed that those are the 2 speeds in here. The 11 missed the break, the 3 made the lead, and it's, you know, we could keep saying it, and it's worked out well with the features we talked about. Speed, the gate, this game is such an important weapon, and the 3 Sound Doctrine showed that. Took pressure all the way around there, but, you know, Richie, I heard you say this first to me. I'm sure you heard it somewhere else, is when you make the front, you are where they're trying to get, or you're there.
Yeah, they've got to run where you've already been.
You said it better
right?
than I did.
So you know, and again, we talk about it a lot. Just the art of riding a horse in the lead is not to go to lead and go as slow as you possibly can. It's to meet out your horse's speed, dole out their speed in a way that you control the race and it puts you at an advantage and your rivals at a disadvantage.
Do you think the recency edge came into play just a touch there? I mean, Sound Doctrine had run on December 1st, had done it at Churchill Downs. Obviously, K Crown was coming off of that layoff since July, made that big move, ran by. But do you see some of that time off kind of setting in there, or just was the horse coming, from a recency edge standpoint?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment. This is a horse that had, in K Crown, I'm talking about the runner-up, hasn't run since early July. And, Sound Doctrine, who has been running, and another winner coming out of Churchill Downs.
We didn't see a ton running from the back. It seemed like it was coming up front. Speed did hold. They only went about 22, though. That was well within the range of the 3. It is Sound Doctrine. We'll see if Gennaro Garcia, that's a name to remember as he continues to pick up the winners at Oaklawn Park. We got plenty more from Oaklawn and Tampa on America's Day at the Races.
The champion 2-year-old. One of 4 champion 2-year-olds in his immediate family. Essential quality at 2. Undefeated.
Essential quality, though, has opened up by 5.
Devastating. His own first 2-year-olds race in 2025. If they're anything like him and you've got a mare in foal, just imagine.
These New York bred foals represent many sires. War Dancer, Salamini, Honest Mischief, Central Banker, but they all have one thing in common. Starting in 2026, they'll be running for the same purse money as Open Company 2-year-olds at NYRA tracks. That's nearly 20% more than they run for now. Learn more about it at nybreds.com.
Union Rags, a proven sire with 6 Grade 1 winners. He has 3 Grade 1 winning juveniles, including Dancing Rags, Union Strike, and standout older horses like Express Train and Paradise Woods. His success continues with recent graded stakes winner Circle of Trust and multiple graded stakes winner and Grade 1 winner Power Squeeze. Union Rags, a proven Grade 1 sire, standing at Lane's End.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on NYRA Bets. Open your NYRA Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the NYRA Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
America's Day at the Races is sponsored by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Nice shot of Sound Doctrine there, getting the victory at Oaklawn Park. Doing it nicely there, battling back on the inside. Those moderate fractions, I think, when you see a horse that can go 21, 122, but Sound Doctrine really gutted it out towards the inside.
I think Boat Song missing the break and, kind of rushed up the middle move under Rocco Bowen kind of helped Sound Doctrine, because I agree with Paul and JK. These were the 2 that I thought might get hooked up early, and but he was game. And, when we talk about race riding, the art of race riding is subtle. Go out, meet a challenge. And you saw Manny Esquivel kind of put his horse's shoulder out to meet the 5K Crown. It might have been unnecessary because it looked like K Crown short and stride anyway, but that's what race riding's about.
Another mid-range price there and another nice return that kicks off your pick 4. A nice way to start it off at 6-1.
Yeah, no, I mean, anytime you can find a way to beat favorites in these multi-race wagers, because you got to think at Oaklawn, you're going to catch another price somewhere along the way. It's a great start.
Race number 8 is coming up at Oaklawn Park. They're going to go 2 turns once again. It's the mile and 16th will be the distance. And looking at their late pick 3, full field. 9 runners in here, and Christian Torres is going to be aboard the number 5 in Golden Glider. And trainer Mark Casse has got Golden Glider, and we're going to talk more about Mark Casse as he has really set up his stable and has a big run there in Hot Springs this season. He's got another strong year ahead. He's doing great work across the country, really. We'll talk more about Mark Casse when we come back here on FS1.
I don't train horses for a race. I try to train them for a career. I always say it's like a baseball game. It's not how many runs you score in an inning, it's how many you score in the end. All right, you're just jogging her, right? All right. The first thing that starts very early in the morning, we go around and make sure everybody ate. And we jog all our horses before they go to the track. And we also check their legs to make sure that nothing's happened overnight. Everything I can do to, for safety and to prevent injury, I do it. Remember, they can't talk. So we have to do everything we can, to protect them. How was he? Good? That's full screen. So we're going to half, guys. You're just company for her, okay? We'll back up to the 7/8. Okay, back up to the 7/8. All right, let's go. I had my first winner when I was 17, so I'm 62. So, I don't know. You figure out the numbers. We're getting our stairs in. I wrestled in high school, and we had to run these stairs. I'm telling you, I still hate it. You can tell them a little faster. Well, I mean, how can you not love it? You come out, I've been around horses. My dad would say, if it doesn't whinny, he knows nothing about it, and that's true. On weekends all over North America, we run usually between 15 and 30 horses. You're a good horse. I was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2020, which was, to me, that's been the highlight of my training career. I told my dad when we went, I was 10 or 11, I said I was going to be in here someday. I like we get to do our trade outside, and there's always something to look forward to. It's a roller coaster. It's been extremely good to me.
And there you see trainer Mark Casse. Look at those career earnings, over $248,000 in career earnings in those 3,800 wins, 3,880 wins, and 41 career Grade 1 wins. And we spoke about trainer Jose D'Angelo, a younger trainer now, just kind of getting in some of those signature wins. But Mark Casse, he's done it. He talked about 17 years old. He's done it for quite some time.
Ran his first horse at the Great Barrington Fair. I mean, that's how far Mark goes back. He's a friend. He's somebody that he came to New York for the first time. He was 21 or 22. I was riding all the horses for him. We became very good friends, and we had such a good time. He had so many good horses at that period of time. Playgirl Princess, Jeremiah Bullfrog, horse named Don't Fool With Me that actually beat Chief's Crown first time out. Actually ran Chief's Crown into the ground. Now Chief's Crown went on to do a bit better than Don't Fool With Me, but Mark, just a terrific horseman. And knowing his family, knowing his dad, who was one of the founders of the Ocala Breeders' Company, and Norman, his son, training now. And I know Norman hates when I say it, but I actually changed Norman's diapers as a baby. So. Sorry, Norman.
Mark's won so many races in Canada that until I did Cart Talk with him, I thought he was from Canada. Until I found out he wasn't.
No.
When I see his name, I think about Teppan. I think about how sensational she was going over and winning at Royal Ascot.
Yeah.
And keeping the consistency over a long period of time. I think we notice it and we talk about it, but it just really, to be able to have consistent horses in your program and your operation, the team that works with you, it's really hard to have that sustained success over decades.
But did you see how cool, collected, and thoughtful he was in the interview? That's his approach in life. And I think to sustain what he's done for as many years as he has, you have to have that kind of cool demeanor, analytical, thoughtful, not do anything rash or be mercurial. There's some people, they win a bunch of races and they're over the moon. They're not winning. They're down in the dumps. You could never tell if Mark's having a good day or a bad day. He stays very even.
Yeah, he's got some contenders again with the 2-year-olds, and he's made those connections, and now he's also gone down to Oaklawn Park. And we've got Tampa here right up on their 9th race, and taking a look at this 9th race, scratching the 3 outside markers there. But favoritism right now has gone to the 1 in Channel's Daughter, and taking a look at this race, Jose Bautista. Definitely this horse took some money. 12-1 in the morning line, gets bet down here to 9-5, so the bettors have really zoned in on the 1 here in the 9th.
Yeah, you're getting blinkers, you're getting Lasix, you get an inside draw. You have a horse with experience, and if you compare the numbers of some of the other horses, he's right there, but not a huge standout. Something tells me that this number will likely equal out a little bit. I thought the 9 Victory Girl, who was the even money morning line favorite, has faster numbers on the synthetic and is dropping in for maiden special weight, which to me makes her more likely than the inside horse.
Yeah, I mean, you said something earlier that I agree with, Jonathan, about synthetic, and I do think synthetic equates better to turf than it does dirt. That doesn't necessarily mean a horse is going to handle, turf just because they've handled synthetic. But rule of thumb, I would take that chance. But this horse just run faster races, and if that translates at all, I mean, this horse is ticked down to your favorite now. But feels like the 1 to me, too short a price. I don't see it.
I just think we've said it before, and it's been said on the show a lot, that the biggest drop in racing, in my opinion, is maiden special weight to maiden claimers. Well, if you really want to take a big drop, go maiden special weight down to $16,000 maiden claimers. That's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at some of the fillies and some of the later, like a horse like the 2 is 13-1. At this maiden 16, but the start and stop, right? Like you kind of have a horse that you feel like might have a little bit of pedigree in there. Maybe the horse has got a little bit of ability, but it's tough, especially at this level of maiden 16. Now you've just got to kind of run them where they fit, but the start and stop is just showing, and we just talked about Mark Casse and the sustainability of campaigning horses for a career, right, or for a longer term. It's tough just to have them just get over the hump on that 1 start.
Yeah, when you see a horse that doesn't have the continuity of a campaign, right, those stops and starts you're speaking of, usually means there's issues, that a horse, it comes up with an injury here and there. Doesn't have to be anything major, just something that stops them, inhibits them from being able to put together a comprehensive campaign.
And we've got some speed here towards the outside. The 8 seems to have shown a little bit of speed. Is going to be stretching out from some of those 5.5 furlong races. We felt like speed has been pretty strong. Is there a horse that we can really say we are confident that this horse is going to be forwardly placed, is going to be up with the early kick, and is going to have maybe a chance to hang on in the final stretch run?
Wouldn't that be the 7, She's That Girl? I mean, she was head and head for the lead through a 22-3 first fraction. Now, that was, going way back to March, and especially coming off that layoff, you've got to be fresh. I think that could play out to be one of the speeds. So Dreaming of Carly is another one that's coming out of sprints. Hasn't been on turf for a while, but has some speed. I think the speed comes from those 2, the 7 and the 8.
Yeah, I would think so, too. I wouldn't be shocked if the 9 was forward. This horse has some early pace figures, and being one that probably has more talent based on what we've seen so far in the rest of them, another one that could be a little bit more aggressively ridden.
And as a rider, former rider, were these tough races? Because we talked about how riders are looking at the way that these horses have run as well, because we spoke about agents early in the weekend too, and then they get you these mounts and they get you on these horses. Do you look, is this a tough race to kind of analyze what this horse is going to do? How am I going to do this ride? Because you really can't tell on paper. Is it just as hard for the rider?
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, you're always trying to handicap a race to figure out position. Where am I going to be? Where are the main contenders going to be? If I'm behind horses, who am I going to follow? Who do I want to get out from behind who I know is going to stop in my face, is not going to carry me through the line, right? You're thinking of fullback following, or halfback following the fullback through the line. You want him to create the gaps for you. In a race like this, I'm not seeing enough form for me to be confident that anybody's going to carry me through. I'm going to ride this much more instinctually. I'm not going to take anything the way that comes easy. Lower level horses, they got run in their mind. Get out of their way.
And we spoke about Jose Ferrer on this 1.2 of being a rider that's going to send a horse, wants to have a horse out there early. Do the connections make that change there and say, okay, horse is coming out of 5.5, Jose Ferrer's aboard. There's no question in our mind, we want to get to the front.
Well, that's a great point. Jose is an aggressive rider, and if you want a horse that has been flashing enough speed, sprinting, and go, you know what, we need this horse forward, yeah, I'm looking to tap Jose, because you know that he is a guy that's going to try to get you forward position if he can make the lead. That's another one of the speeds coming out of shorter races. Anytime you see a horse coming out of sprints, stretching out, you've got to think they're going to have more speed on the stretch out.
JK?
Yeah, the only issue is I think sometimes is that when they are stretching out, the rider and trainer could be concerned about them getting the distance and could give the instructions to rate. A mistake, but I think it could happen.
It's a mistake. I've never had luck with a horse stretching out, rating them, trying to get them to go further. You have more luck if they go to the lead and get comfortable.
All right, we're going to find out what happens here. 9th and final. 1 mile is the distance here at Tampa Bay Downs. Jason Beam with the call.
And O'Reilly goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Tight spot there for Lady Lynx shortly after the start. Ipsy Dixit flashes some good early speed. Dreaming of Carly is right there with She's That Girl as they run into the stretch for the first time around. It's Dreaming of Carly and She's That Girl. And O'Reilly up from the outside now, tugging all the way up to be second and challenge for the lead. Victory Girl, the favorite, came away in a good spot, fourth, just in behind the leaders. It's a length and a half more back to Ipsy Dixit, far above. They're fifth and sixth, length clear of Lady Lynx in seventh. Chica Music in the yellow cap is back eighth. It's 2.5 more to pivot to the power. And Channel's Daughter at the back early on as Ed O'Reilly up on the outside of Dreaming of Carly pokes a nose in front, 22 and 3. So they're hard at it up front as they work out of the back stretch. Down on the inside, Dreaming of Carly on the outside, Ed O'Reilly, both under stout restraint here, but both going quickly. They're 3.5, 4 lengths ahead of She's That Girl in the third spot. Victory Girl trying to move up with Chica Music, who moves to that one's outside. It's a length and a half more, then back to far above. Lady Lynx has 3 beat early on. Those are Ipsy Dixit, who drop back quickly there. Channel's Daughter and pivot to the power. 47-1 for the opening half mile, and Ed O'Reilly now goes to the far turn with a clear lead. Ed O'Reilly by 2.5. Chica Music up to a clear second. Dreaming of Carly dropped back quickly there, was passed by Victory Girl and far above as they wind around that far turn. Ed O'Reilly still just in front. Ed O'Reilly there by a neck. Chica Music on the outside. Ed O'Reilly trying to get out. Brooke Bay's having all sorts of trouble there with that leader, and now Chica Music inherits the lead. Victory Girl got stopped behind Ed O'Reilly. 3/16 of a mile to go. Chica Music here's far above, trying to rally, going to tilt toward the inside. Victory Girl trying to overcome that trouble, has to rally up from third. A final furlong left to go. Chica Music and Jose Ferrer in front. Victory Girl down the outside, down toward the inside, far above. Late run from pivot to the power, but it's Chica Music, a 22-1 upset winner. Victory Girl was second. Third was close. Might have been far above over pivot to the power, but it is a photo for third.
An eventful 9th race there at Tampa Bay Downs, but it is the big long shot. And Jose Ferrer aboard Chica Music, they get the job done at 22-1, as you heard from track announcer Jason Beam.
Even though this horse was 22-1, I'm not completely shocked this horse won. I am completely shocked in the style this horse won. Thought this horse would be forward. Jose Ferrer took her back right off the break. There was a lot of mistakes being made early on. Horses going in a lot of different directions. The 1 and 2 were jammed coming out of that little chute. It was a messy first quarter of a mile, but Jose Ferrer, I told you yesterday, I'm in awe of him and the shape he keeps himself in. Here's a guy that we were apprentice jockeys together, and I haven't ridden a race in 15 years, and he's still doing it.
Rails were out a little bit. Does that have a big impact, I mean, from a turf standpoint?
I do think that what happened leaving the chute lent itself to that because of the rails being out, kind of created a point, and they got jammed in there.
All right, let's head on over to Oaklawn. Race 8, Trident Hit.
Yeah, exiting a race from Churchill Downs. A lot of winners coming from Churchill.
The 2 is going to be Pat's Property.
Coming off a good effort at Hawthorne, a horse that has speed with the apprentice, Tyler Bacon.
Yeah, the 3, Pancake House.
Yeah, has only run here at Oaklawn one time and did not win that race.
The 4 is going to be Keen Cat.
Stretching out off a good 7/8 victory last time for Randy Morse.
And the 5, that's going to be Golden Glider.
Yeah, exiting that 1-turn mile down at Gulfstream Park. Going to try the 2-turn mile on the 16th here.
Ron Moquett's got the 6, Ricardo Santana Jr. on the 6 Red Run.
Yeah, taking money. This horse would surprise me. I think this horse is a little better going further and on the turf.
And the 7, Calibrate.
Yeah, it was close up to a slow pace last time. I usually don't like playing horses off of those types of trips.
The 8 is Laughing Boy.
Yeah, really nice effort last time. And this is a horse that's got 2 wins this year, and both were by disqualification, being placed first.
The 9, Camp David.
Yeah, drawn towards the outside. Made the lead last time, but did it with very slow fractions.
That is the field for today's 8th race. Let's head on over to Paul here. Got a field of 9, and we got the current 2-1 favorite. That's Laughing Boy.
Yeah, and Laughing Boy, you know, the one to beat on paper, comes out of that 1 1/8 race where he was actually put up first through disqualification, but he's got a couple races to go to at the longer distances. Now, I focus on that one race at Penn National when he won a little $50,000 race. He was able to stalk a little bit from off the pace. And I'm wondering, at this distance, is he going to want to stalk? Because I think, the 2 Pat's Property with Tyler Bacon in here, I would think is going to be all in. I think a player in here, too. I just think that the 2 goes to the front end, and maybe the 5 is quicker, maybe not, but maybe the 5 decides, and jockey Christian Torres, jockey on the 8, Sammy Camacho Jr. decides, let's make this a 2-horse race. I might be the best horse. But Pat's Property has got some, quality to him. Now, the 5 in here, Golden Glider, we were just talking about Mark Casse. His horses have come in here running. This horse comes in with a nice little bullet drill, blinkers on for the first time last time. Kind of made an even move, showed a little bit more speed with the blinkers on, but it says loomed, and I get it, hung just a tiny bit, but this horse is for 28 lifetime, and he was 20-1 in that spot, so I would think this is an easier spot, and you get Christian Torres aboard. So I kind of landed as the 5 as my pick. I do think the 4 is dangerous. Randy Morris is just phenomenal trainer. He is really good, and this horse has stretched out before, and both have stretched out 3 for 5 on the stretch out. So I don't think that's going to be the issue. You get Francisco Arrieta. But I'm going to land on the 5 in here, Golden Glider, with Christian Torres and Mark Casse. But I do think the 2, Pat's Property, it depends what Sammy Camacho does. If they let the 2 get away from here, the 2 can be very, very dangerous.
All right, Paul, taking a look at the number 5 and the 2. JK, what do you think here as they're approaching the gate for race 8?
Yeah, I'm going to give Camp David just a little bit of a look here. I respect Mike Maker as a trainer as a whole, and I thought last time it was much earlier this year, but I thought last time this horse, set those early fractions. We got a nice figure, and Mike Maker just took the time to give him all this time. There's some scratches in between there to get back to this spot, hoping he runs a little bit better for that outside draw.
Richie?
I'm a little interested in Pat's Property. I like this horse's last effort at Hawthorne. Horses run well at Oaklawn. He had a 5-pound break in the weights with Tyler Bacon for a horse that should be forward.
Yeah, with Laughing Boy at 2-1. Any concern? I mean, the 2 wins via disqualification, but a horse that hasn't been in front on the year is currently favored.
Yeah, I just don't trust him. I know he ran extremely well last time. I know 3 back he had a fast number, but those numbers kind of stick out like a sore thumb. And when figures like that stick out like a sore thumb, I want a better price than what we're getting.
All right, we're going to find out what happens here. Race 8, Matt Dinnerman at Oaklawn.
And Larough. From the far outside, Camp David gets into it early. Pat's Property quicker, though. And Golden Glider between horses. Laughing Boy is up on the pace as well. So they're sorting themselves out on the front end. Laughing Boy with a head in front. Golden Glider in a tight spot there. Has to slam on the brakes. Pat's Property moved inside and is going to come away with the lead around the first turn run. Laughing Boy on the outside, perched outside of him. Gap of 2 to Camp David. Golden Glider to the inside. Another 2 lengths back to Trident Hit. Keen Cat is running about 6 lengths off the pace, swinging up the back stretch. Pancake House, Calibrators side by side, and that leaves Red Run. He's on a snug hold at the back and getting a little bit closer now. A tightly clumped up field. Pat's Property in the purple jacket leads the way 3/4 of a length. Laughing Boy right there to the outside, a neck back. Then comes Camp David, Golden Glider, right together with a half mile to go. Another length to Trident Hit between horses off the rail as stablemate Red Run joins him. Calibrate's going to be caught about 4 or 5 pass off the rail, sailing into the turn. Pancake House and Keen Cat are next. Around the turn they race. And there goes Laughing Boy to the front. Pat's Property sent hard but losing contact with Laughing Boy, who opens up the lead to a length. Camp David taking second. Golden Glider trying to follow his move. Calibrate sent hard. He's lost ground on the far turn, attempting to continue a sustained run from the 3-ace pole. He's a joint third coming off the turn. In the meantime, Laughing Boy's the one to reel in. Laughing Boy down the lane, opens up about 2 lengths here. There's a wall of horses chasing him. One of them's Golden Glider. Far outside, Keen Cat's in with a shot. It's still Laughing Boy. Here comes Golden Glider. Here comes Red Run from the back of the field, and Red Run is unleashed from between horses. Red Run, Laughing Boy, and Golden Glider. 3-way go, and it's a photo very tight between the 2 insides. Golden Glider, Laughing Boy, those 2 in the photo for the win. Red Run didn't get there third, and then Trident Hit.
3-horse thriller there. Photo finish, tight one at the wire. You got the 5 to the inside, 8 in between. Laughing Boy, the 6 red run towards the outside. Maybe down between the inside two.
I think the 5 Golden Glider got it. It is a tough angle. Horse that was put in a pretty tight spot in the first turn, but he found room through the stretch, and Laughing Boy was very game.
You agree?
Felt like the rail to me was the winner. But I will say this, though. I've always learned to kind of question when there's about 5 or 6 across the track to kind of ask yourself how good the race actually was.
Okay. They all kind of spread out there in the stretch. They were really spreading apart, and 5, 8, 6 is what we're hearing right now, 5, 8, 6, 1. They were giving each other room there in the stretch run, but that wasn't quite the same case there as it was at the start of this race when they were breaking out of there, and it looked like the 8 was just making it a little bit tight on the 5, as you were pointing out as they went in that first turn.
Yeah, it appeared to me. So the 2-horse
Pat's Property.
Pat's Property goes to the lead under Tyler Bacon. Here comes your favorite, Laughing Boy, moving up. Now you see the 5 in between them, Golden Glider. Now watch as he angles over. Look at the position that Christian Torres was put in. He had a steady, and then you saw Sammy Camacho step out and give him enough room, but the damage had already been done. I don't think it would have been enough to warrant a disqualification. It's a moot point anyway, because the 5 was able to then sit a really good trip under Christian Torres and then got through along the inside of your favorite Laughing Boy.
If you do have to steady like that, and now you lose ground, you've lost a couple lengths, it doesn't throw you off. I mean, a seasoned rider like Christian Torres, he didn't panic. You can't panic in that situation, but are you checking a few things as a rider in that spot?
Well, now you just want to get your horse back in a good rhythm. It throws their stride off. You don't want to, them to like their head gets up. It changes their breathing. You just want to then get them to settle back into a good rhythm, and that's exactly what he did. And he had the horse underneath him that was carrying him back to the spot, and he was lucky that Laughing Boy drifted out in the stretch. It's funny. You're in a big hurry to get over into that first turn to take it away from him, and then you don't guard the rail after that. I think you've already gotten there. Now guard the spot.
Yeah, fair to say that the 5, maybe even much the best in there, does end up winning the photo.
I would think so, after the trouble that he had going into the first turn.
All right, we're going to talk more about what happened there in Oaklawn's 8th race, and we're going to talk more about a stakes race coming up right here behind us at Aqueduct next week. We're going to talk a little Sterling Silver when we come back here on America's Day at the Races.
To move. It's a one-horse race, very professional and very fast. Move, rolling home by 4 in fine style.
Moose, the son of good magic, coming down the stretch in Hot Springs to win it.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 44 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sales sire at the September sale. Curlin, the classic sire.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you.
Not just great racing there at Oaklawn Park, also some great food. It's America's Day at the Races, and that's a very popular spot there in Hot Springs.
It is fantastic. It's always one of my first stops. Me and Paul love to go to DeLuca's, and it's, Anthony just treats us like gold. The food's great, the pizza's great. I will tell you two things that people should not sleep on there. His meatballs and the hamburger. The cheeseburger there is unbelievable. But I would put my wife's meatballs against anybody's in a throwdown. But I will say DeLucas is pretty close.
Been there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's really the only place I eat when I go there, to be fair. Yeah, no, it's a ton of fun. It's got a good vibe, and I love places in racing towns that feel racy when you're there. That place is buzzing when there's a big race going on.
Always great to see, and maybe he's going to be celebrating after this winner there. The Casse barn, they get to the winner's circle. The feature angle, as you talked about, Golden Glider. Christian Torres aboard, overcoming some trouble at the first turn, but ends up with the nose down at the wire.
Yeah, and another reason why you see Christian Torres, one of your leading riders, if not the leading rider, perennially at Oaklawn Park. Cool as can be, got in trouble the first term, unflappable, sat the pocket, found the seam, and good strong finish.
Golden Glider just getting the nose down over Laughing Boy. That was Red Run finishing third. Nice stretch run there. They fanned out, ended up getting the nose down, and you get another nice return. 5-1 to the winner, and not a bad return there on Golden Glider.
No, not at all. I mean, 5-1 there. Like you said, you're gonna catch some prices along the way at Oaklawn Park, and there's another one that you can add to your piggy bank.
Nice race coming up. It's the 9th race there at Oaklawn Park, and it's a nice $100,000 claiming optional claimer in there with a $133,000 purse. Scratched the 7 Esternia, ran in the Poinsettia yesterday, but very competitive field.
No, absolutely. I thought this was a wide open spot. I thought the 4, Tanya Showers, was interesting, but I had a lot of horses circled in here that I thought could win.
Lots of great racing action still to come there at Oaklawn Park, but hey, we're coming right back here at Aqueduct, too. We got some nice races. We got the Bay Ridge, of course, coming up, and this is a very competitive race. At 1 mile, you take a look at the field and take a look at Sterling Silver, who we saw going into that break. The number 11 Junior Alvarado will be aboard for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott.
Yeah, listen, hard-knocking, consistent, over $900,000 in career earnings. I like her turning back from the mile and an eighth. I think she's maybe a slightly better horse around one turn. And this 5-year-old daughter of Cupid, soon to be 6. All thoroughbreds turn 1 year older on New Year's Day with a good outside draw, JK. That's always, to me, an advantage when you're drawn towards the outside of these one-turn miles.
Absolutely. I love the outside draw, and I feel for whoever's calling the race, Sterling Silver and Silver Skillet in there. That should be a
and Stonewall Star.
Yeah, that's me trembling over here in this seat because that might just be me. But there's Sterling Silver in the bar there. 8 wins, 27 starts, 4 seconds, 5/3. We talked about a lot of horses in some of our year in reviews and some of these top-notch horses. But even at this $100,000 level, especially for the New York breds, I mean, these are important races on the calendar. It's an important race, and that's why you see a big field of 12.
Yeah, big field, good competitive field. Silver Skillet has run good races on the dirt, but those were on off racetracks and off the turf events. Cruz to Catalina, lightly raced with a rider that's been flying straight north of the border, doing very well.
And Cruz to Catalina, a lightly raced horse, 4 starts, 3 wins, 1 second. And taking a look at this effort back in October off of this optional claiming, bet down to favoritism, was supposed to get the job done, but was this enough to say that this horse warrants a big shot in the Bay Ridge?
Well, she's going to have to take a step forward, right? So you got Riley Mott, who's done terrific work going out on his own, was his dad, Hall of Famer Bill Mott's assistant for a number of years. She's good. She's got a lot of talent. She's facing more seasoned rivals, so she's got to show she can take that next step.
And I'm interested. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with her getting a little bit more distance, right? She started it off kind of taking her time, very similar to how Bill Mott would have done it for Riley here. 6 furlong, 6 furlong, 6.5, 7, that natural progression right into that one-turn mile. See how she handles that. But to me, she's shown some of the most brilliance, the most talent in here, but she's got to translate it to the racetrack.
I wasn't thinking much about the names in that field until I just saw the field there, field of 12 up there, and JK just pointed it out. There's a lot of sweets and S's and apostrophes and things going on. So it's going to be a scintillating stretch run in the Bay Ridge.
We have the utmost confidence in you. We know you're going to nail it.
The hilarious, boisterous laughter coming from the desk is just waiting for that call now. I can't wait. But, yeah, it should be an exciting race, the Bay Ridge, along with a lot of the other stakes races on the schedule, as you don't forget that we end the year strong strong, and then we come out firing too when we go into the new year. But taking a look at the Gravesend, taking a look at the Shipment, of course, there for the New York Prez on December 28th. The Queens County, a great race. And then we got the Jerome and Ladies Handicap coming up in January. So there's still plenty going on and plenty right here on America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports.
Well, Jerome, the first step on the Kentucky Derby Trail here in New York. We've got a comprehensive series. Looks a lot different than when I was a kid, where we went 6 furlongs in the Swift, 7 in the Bayshore, a mile in the Gotham, and then a mile and 1/8 in the Wood. Now the Jerome's starting at a mile, so it's a good race. I always had a very soft spot for the Gravesend Handicap because I grew up 8 miles from here in Gravesend.
Wow, look at that. And you're thinking about the schedule going into the next year and going into 2025?
Yeah, it's always exciting. I mean, the way that the calendar kind of goes, you go Breeders' Cup, and then you have that kind of a period in between the Breeders' Cup leading up to like opening day at Santa Anita, and then we start throwing those 3-year-old races at you from everywhere across the country, and there'll be a bunch at Oaklawn. We'll have a bunch here at Aqueduct, and then we start thinking, Triple Crown, Derby. Next thing you know, it's Belmont, and next thing you know, you're in shorts and you're back at Saratoga.
You're in shorts. I'm in a suit.
Plenty of top contenders to take a look at, and plenty of great racing action to come, and plenty of hopefully good calls from the announcer there at Aqueduct. But we got to talk about Whit Beckman. He's got Girls Weekend coming up in the feature. We've got a great feature on him. Whit Beckman in his biggest year yet for Whit on America's Day at the Races.
I did not have a burning desire growing up or any sort of dreams of being some, thoroughbred trainer. Went to college looking for stuff, but eventually it just kind of ended up in a barn working with horses, and I found this, beautiful connection. And I spent, bulk of my kind of early years on the track under Todd Pletcher for a while, Owen Hardy, Chad Brown. When I did finally go out my own, it was more of just a perfect circumstance, Things kind of took their own natural conclusion with Chad and moved on, and here we are.
They're coming to the finish, and Honor Marie from off the pace to score by 2.
He was sent to me as a 2-year-old. Legion Bloodstock bought him for a group of people, which the Ribbles were involved. He won first time out, and they bought out the rest of the partners.
We've really liked how he trains horses. He's taught us to be patient with the horse, and he's always said, this horse could be special.
He's named after our granddaughter, who is a Marie, and she's real spunky and real independent and real sassy, and I just kind of see a little bit of that in him.
Ran a super race in the Louisiana Derby, and then we knew, like, we always thought we had a Derby horse, and then we got the confirmation he is a Derby horse.
Derby week was very, very difficult. A lot of things were going on behind the scenes, and then when Whit went into the hospital,
rhabdomyolysis, my legs weren't working. Once I got myself back on my feet, it was just a matter of days. They're just waiting for some blood levels to drop, and I'm glad I got out on the night of the trainer's dinner. That was just, a special night to go out and get up there and talk and be part of that. Started in the lowest position possible, laying in a hospital bed, and ended up in the highest position possible, walking over for the Derby. As soon as he came out, there was just kind of a wall of horses from both sides. His first 3 jumps were really spent just going side to side. With all that momentum from the inside outside, just didn't give him any time to get any traction. He never really got any position early. He ended up out the back, and then kind of going to the first turn, he had a little bit of trouble there. Just more adversity than there was, clear room to run. So he ran a really good race. I mean, he finished 8th, and he was last going into the turn. So, I mean, we're really proud of him.
You feel like it's a once in a lifetime, but we're already talking to our bloodstock agents, Legion Bloodstock, going, okay, where's our next Kentucky Derby contender?
Coming up here, running my first horse in New York, I can't say I was upset to come up to Saratoga. I mean, I come up here and there's just this level of stress that just melts away. And even though it's not like the real Belmont, it's still called the Belmont, no matter where they run it. So at the end of the day, I'll win it no matter where. It's fine for me.
Whit Beckman there, the trainer. Anna Marie, a little trouble there at the start of the Kentucky Derby, but there is the 5 and girls weekend. Ricardo Santana Jr. will be aboard. Big shot in here. Over a sloppy track last time, got the victory, but Whit Beckman continues to do good work, currently sitting at 6-1, so kind of that mid-range price here for today's night.
Sure, he learned his trade under some world-class horsemen. He seems to me to be a very thoughtful, intuitive kind of horseman. And how many years have we seen horses just have the worst starts in the Kentucky Derby? I think it's better now with the 1 continuous gate as opposed to 2 starting gates. But a 20-horse field for the holy grail of American racing, the Kentucky Derby, it's always going to be roughly run.
Oh, I think when you've been around the game long enough and you're watching the Derby, you always hold your breath. Just hoping that the horse maybe that you like, you're involved with, whatever, you just break clean. Just get away from there clean, and you're like, and you just zoom in on them with your, and you're just looking just at them, and you're, okay, they broke clean. Or, if you're looking at Lucky, if you're Dornick had a little bit of trouble too. It's just sometimes those things can go the wrong way.
Very hard to win the Kentucky Derby. It's hard to get in the gate, let alone get the right trip and break cleanly and have a shot.
Just one happy guy at the end of the day as far as jockeys go, and 19 not so happy guys and different levels of unhappy.
We saw a thrilling stretch run too in 2024 in the Kentucky Derby. We'll see what awaits in 2025. We talked about some of the real chances from 2-year-olds that are progressing into 3 and have a real big shot, and we'll have a shot in that first Saturday in May. We're getting ready for race number 9 here, optional $100,000 claiming race. $133,000 is the purse, 6 furlongs is the distance. A competitive field in here, a scratch of the 7 in Esternia, and here's the post parade. The 1 is Candy Isle.
Candy Isle making their 3rd start off of a little bit of a break. Doesn't have enough speed, I think, to work out a trip from that inside.
The 2, Tripolina.
Coming off synthetic, trying dirt for the first time, but Chris Hartman, first start in his barn.
The coach, she's got the 3, Lady Moscato.
Yeah, a couple of wins, 2 for 3 here at Oaklawn Park.
The 4, Tanya Showers.
Certainly a major player here, your favorite, good record at Oaklawn, and should be sitting a good trip.
And the 5, Girls Weekend.
Yeah, this horse has some early speed. I'd like to see where Ricardo puts her early.
And there's the Whit Beckman trainee. Ricardo Santana Jr. will be aboard. The number 6, going to be John Ortiz, and Tyler Bacon has them out.
Yeah, Tyler Bacon getting a lot of play, getting some live mounts here. This horse not taking any money. Big price coming off the layoff.
Scratch the 7. The 8 is Minx Palace.
You pointed it out earlier, Jonathan. Every time this filly runs on Lasix, you get her A effort. She's major player.
Francisco Arrieta aboard the number 9, Hall and Ice.
Hall and Ice has a race 3 back that would absolutely win this race for fun. It would be competitive in the Breeders' Cup, as a matter of fact. So she's going to try to have to find that one.
Fernando Hara won the feature yesterday. He's got Blue Squall here today.
Feels like 12-1 is too big a price for a horse that has races that could be competitive here. Last year got beat the nose in the Dixie Bell against Extreme Diva. She runs that race. She's going to be a player here.
Competitive field in here. One scratch of the 7 Esternia, who we saw run yesterday. Paul, nice competitive heat here. And what do you think? With still 6 minutes, plenty of time to talk about today's ninth.
Yeah, this was a race that I thought was a good race for fillies here, 3-year-old fillies. So I'll start with the 8, Minx Palace. Freddie Keneally, that, Christian Torres gets aboard, Kentucky bred by Palace Malice. Every time this horse has had Lasix, this horse has run some bang-up races. The race 2 back in September with Lasix ran very, very well. And then, actually, 2 of the 3 wins are with Lasix. So I do think this horse is ready off the layoff. Eddie hasn't started a horse yet at this meet, but usually when he brings horses in and you get Christian Torres aboard, you usually have some intent. Now the 9 Holland Ice, I'm kind of with both of you guys. This is an Arkansas bred, by the way, that can run. I mean, I think Safi could have chosen some different spots in here, but he's going against some open company, going for the big purse. And like Jonathan said, the race 3 back is pretty darn good, and the horse can rate a little bit from off the pace. I think a horse that's, in the exact and all 6 starts at this distance is a dangerous horse and likes Oaklawn Park. So, the 8 and the 9 I thought were players in here. Now let's get to the 4, Tanya Showers, who, if you look, is a kind of a horse that likes to lay a little bit off the lead. Actually used to be a deeper closer than she is now. Her last couple starts, she's been up towards the pace. Rafael Bejarano seems like he's figured her out. Her last effort was her best effort. It was over a muddy racetrack. I'm just wondering, is she the same horse over a fast racetrack? Horses like Blue Squall, the 10, who I think's, got a little bit of value at 12-1, has beaten her. Marisol Sugar has beaten her in this spot. So I just think that, when I look at this race at 5-2, yeah, can she win this race? I just think that there's other horses in here like the 8 or the 9 that are just in better form. So, I landed on the 8 horse in here, Minx Palace. I just liked, with the horses races with Lasix, and I think the 9 will be tough in here. And I also think the 10, Blue Squall, is the outsider.
And taking a look at the horses, you're looking at the 1 right now, Candy Isle, but Minx Palace is one that you guys have talked about and talked about the Lasix, but going back to this effort and looking back at this effort back at Churchill Downs, what do we take from this one?
Yeah, I mean, look, the big thing I see is that the horse had Lasix, right? So that's a good thing. I think that helps. And then overcame a little adversity, was wide all the way around there, lost some ground. So I think this performance is actually better than it looks. It looked like a desperate win there at the end, but I think it was actually better than what it looks on paper.
There was a look at Minx Palace, and there is the 4 in Tanya Showers, and Tanya Showers has an effort back in November too, and you go back at November 28th and talking about that effort, and also Blue Squall coming out of the same race. You can compare these two because they're in the same race. It's always nice to have them coming out of a race that they were in before, but what did we take from this effort? Who do we give the edge to?
Well, listen, I think certainly Tanya Showers maybe ran a little bit of a better race, got that really, good inside-out trip, right? Saved ground, was able to split horses. But look at the disparity in price, right? Tanya Showers is, one of your favorites here. She's 3-1, and Blue Squall is 11-1, and I don't think there's that much difference between them, and I like the draw for Blue Squall. I just think she's too big a price. Paul said it best. She's like the long shot that I think you're going to really take a good look at.
Yeah, you do have that discrepancy in price. And, something to take from there. Esternia got passed late by Spirit Wind yesterday and then Poinsettia. You saw Esternia was the number 4 horse there on that last replay that we saw. From that effort from Esternia there in that race, can that compare to a race that we're looking at here today, even though we're talking about different races? Obviously, the Poinsettia yesterday, but a 6 furlong sprint here today.
Well, again, she showed her speed yesterday, and I thought she ran well. She was facing tougher. I mean, Spirit Wind is, what price would she be in this group?
So does that move horses like Tanya Showers and Blue Squall up for you?
I think so. I absolutely think it elevates them.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't hurt them. But, there's their figures for those 2 horses are kind of that little bit of a cut above. Well, the one concern I have is that with those 2 horses, they both kind of jumped up and ran fast numbers that day on a racetrack that was listed as like it had moisture in it. And I wonder sometimes when there's jump up numbers like that, if they're earned on a racetrack with moisture, sometimes I'll take them with a grain of salt. And at the prices that these horses are, I wouldn't necessarily have I wouldn't have an issue with someone trying to side with those speed figures, but I at least think about them from a standpoint of can you trust it?
And looking at a horse like the two that we're watching on the screen walk by right now in Tripolina, the Chris Hartman barn has had some winners here lately that we've seen. Tripolina is going to be at that 9-1, so it's taken a little bit of action. Ramon Vasquez will be aboard though, but is this a horse that fits? Has not seen dirt yet though.
Yeah, that's the big question. Hasn't seen dirt, and we talked about this a couple times on the show already. That idea of synthetic horses and what other surfaces will they handle. I will say this, Tripolina has been running in a bunch of stakes races up there, and that says something about her quality. And now you just have to try to find out if she's going to appreciate the ground. I mean, her pedigree suggests that she will, but she's also a half to Miss J. McKay, who did a lot of good running on the turf. So it also leans that maybe there's a possibility that it's more turf than anything. But I wouldn't. Another one, she's 9-1. I wouldn't talk anyone off of taking a chance on these in a race like this with a horse at this price.
My problem with Tripolina, who does have some dirt pedigree, the mare has produced 2 dirt winners, is if you look at her work tab, and admittedly I'm not a guy that leans a lot on times of works, but all of her works on synthetic tracks, September 30th, 48-4, October 4th, 47-2, October 26th, 48-3, November 2nd, 48-3. That's all on synthetic. Now you get to Oaklawn Park, December 5th, 52-3. Her previous dirt work, which was back in September, on the training track at Woodbine, 50 1/5. She's remarkably slower, her works on dirt tracks, than all of her works on synthetic. That leads me to believe she prefers synthetic.
I think it's a remarkable point, and I think it's a very useful tool to use. I will play devil's advocate for a little bit that I wonder if those were for the previous trainer. So sometimes the trainer intent, there might be, Chris Hartman might work all of his horses slow.
That's fair.
But I don't want to discount the point you made. It's a very useful point. I just wonder about this certain situation.
And we're watching the horses go to the gate. One thing I'm noticing there, those look like very familiar silks there. We saw Spirit win in those silks yesterday. Miller Racing, right? We're taking a look at the 9 and Holland Ice, who's taking a ton of money right now at 3-2. Safi Joseph had Spirit win yesterday. Now he's got Holland Ice right here in this spot. He decides to pick this spot here for Holland Ice. Maybe that moves the horse up.
I think that's a fair point.
I would imagine he looked at both races for both horses and thought which ones make the most sense.
All right. We'll find out what happens here. The 9th at Oaklawn. Matt Dinnerman with the call.
We're ready to go. And Laroff, comfortable beginning for all the runners. Girls Weekend on the lead today as a narrow advantage early. Holland Ice will keep her company. Candy Isle, the long shot, claims third on the rail. Then there's a line of runners. Minx Palace is in that group with Lady Moscato, the Gray Marisol Sugar, and Blue Squall, who's deeper on the course. 5 fillies are about 2 lengths off the dueling leaders here. Girls Weekend and Holland Ice. We come back in the group to Tanya Showers, now joining Marisol Sugar, who's dropped back a couple spots, and Tripolina is at the back of the pack. 7 lengths off the lead as they charge into the far turn. Girls Weekend the leader with Holland Ice, who gets a reminder to get going and sticks her head in front. Holland Ice, Girls Weekend back to second on the rail. Lady Moscato is third right behind the leaders. Blue Squall, being asked to get going, is going to take the outside route and swing about 5 or 6 wide coming off the turn. They're down the stretch. Holland Ice is in front now. Girls Weekend trying to keep up, but Holland Ice is quicker. Lady Moscato coming on now. Tanya Showers right behind horses, gets to the outside for the final furlong. She's moving forward. Holland Ice in front. Lady Moscato, Tanya Showers, Tripolina, the 2 Hartman entrants moving as a pair, but Holland Ice keeps going. Holland Ice with a big effort back at Arkansas, back to the winner's circle. Photo for second, Tripolina, Tanya Showers. Lady Moscato checks in fourth.
Holland Ice with the return to Oaklawn Park has done very good work there. 3 lifetime victories, make it 4 now, wins today's 9th.
And 4 for 6 now with 2 seconds. So, talk horses for courses. Horses have affinity for a certain place. Set a really nice trip. That outside post allowed her, Jonathan, to use her speed to get forward position, but not under any pressure.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. These shows just work out. It's the theme. Speed's a weapon here, and she used it in here. She had a couple of back races that absolutely made her the one to beat in here, and she was drawn well with those tactics, and she did it the right way. A horse that's, on the fringe, I think now, like you talked about the stablemate yesterday winning, on the fringe of next time now probably she shows up in some sort of stakes race, and now Safi's got a couple of them. He can kind of try to point in different directions.
The 2 certainly seem to handle the dirt right. Runs up in a second, Tripolina at 10-1, and then the 4, Tanya Showers, running it out.
Ran better than I would have thought she would, and I wouldn't have used her, but I would have been wrong. I was wrong, actually. Well, in fact,
it's a complete guess though, Mig. In those situations, there's no real evidence. You got one work who you don't know the intent of the work. It could be slow. You've got no idea. They never stepped on it before.
Rounding out that superfecta there, the 3, Lady Moscato for the coach. That was Keith Asmussen with the ride, trying to hang on. Francisco Arrieta, he's done some nice work this weekend. Safi Joseph Jr. picks up another feature win there at Oaklawn Park. And we're going to talk about another rider that's had a phenomenal, incredible season. Best year yet, Flavien Prat. Back here on America's Day at the Races on FS1.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. A very gifted, fast horse, a lot of speed, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gun Runner, same ability and talent, beautiful physical, outworked every horse on the board. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
And Cyberknife has won the TVG.com Haskell over Tama. Jack Christopher finished 3rd.
The Arkansas Derby was one of his best. Showed how much talent he really does have and stamped himself as one of the best 3-year-olds in the country.
His name is Cyberknife!
Cyberknife ranks up there as one of the most talented horses I've ever had in training. Multiple Grade 1 winner, brought it every time you let him over there. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. And if he does, he could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
This is my Oaklawn.
They come on for the finish in the Pilgrim Stakes. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Coolmore Turf Mile.
Back here on America's Day at the Races here on FS1, getting a nice shot there of downtown Hot Springs, and we've seen plenty of hot springs. Seen where to eat, where to tour, where to hang out. Gangster museums even down there.
Great food, great atmosphere, and the Gangster Museum is a must hit on your list. You want a hit? That's a bad word to use for a Gangster Museum, huh?
You see the winner there from today's 9th race. The 9th race, the feature, Hall and Ice. Safi Joseph Jr. picks up another one. Familiar Silks, we saw it on Spirit Win yesterday as they got the victory, and now they get the win with a 3-year-old filly by Cole Front, Arkansas bred. How about that? Arkansas bred gets it done. Hall and Ice there at Oaklawn Park, and we got Paul LaDuca with the winning connections. I believe he's got the winning rider there in Hot Springs.
Yeah, I'm with Francisco Arrieta, Chris, and I'll tell you what, you got the key to this horse's engine. You've rode this horse 3 times. You got 2 wins. This is a nice Archie bred, Francisco.
Yeah, I remember when Lindsay used to have her. She let me work one time, and she worked very good. I say she can be a very useful horse, very like a stake horse. And then we ride her and win easy. Now somebody bought her, and she win in open company. Now she win again in open company. So she's capable.
Were you comfortable? Were you think you were going too fast on the front end? Because you had plenty left there at the end, but the horses were coming after you.
You know, she showed a lot of speed since she's been working. Today I say I will not change any plan. I will not be against her. I will try to give her a good trip, and, you know, she showed up. When I asked her, she went. Nice.
Congratulations, Francisco. Francisco Arrieta, like you always say, Mig, don't take the speed away from the horse, and that's exactly what happened with Hall and Ice.
And there you see Francisco Arrieta with that victory once again. And we saw some of the breeding, talking about the Arkansas breds, colt front, sire on top. And this Arkansas bred's got a bright future. 3-year-old filly gets it done. Bet down to that 8-5 price. So a favorite does get it done there in today's 9th race at Oaklawn Park. Race number 10 is coming up. It's the 10th and final, their finale, Maidens. Set to go, the 6 furlong distance, over $100,000 for that purse one more time. Got the 4, Coffee Kisses a scratch, and the 9, Miss Susan B. Also scratched the 4 and the 9 with that maiden special weight, 6 furlongs, their 10th and final.
Flavien Prat has always been a top rider in the country. But since moving his tack to New York in 2022, he's taken his game to new levels. Nowhere was this more evident than this year's Saratoga meet. Although he didn't win the riding title, he still had a record-breaking summer. The 32-year-old set records for most stakes wins with 18, most graded stakes with 14, and 7 Grade 1 victories. With 16 total Grade 1 wins and over $35 million in earnings, can Flavien Prat wrap up his first Career Eclipse Award in 2024?
And jockey Flavien Prat, you take a look at his fantastic 24. What else can you say? I mean, over $36 million in earnings, those 223 wins, plenty of stakes wins, setting the record, tying the record there, graded stakes wins as well. The list goes on and on and on, and he's just had a tremendous year.
Does everything well. It's very hard to find a hole in his game. He rides the turf well, the dirt well, sprints, routes, closers, speed horses. It's been a pleasure to watch him. What I really appreciate is that he was in a comfort zone in California. He owned the place. Small fields. He's riding the pick of the litter every race pretty much. Brad Pegram, his agent, and he made a decision. We're going to go to New York, and we're going to stake our claim. We want to be a champion. To be a champion, you got to take on champions. And came and took on the likes of Irad Ortiz and a room full of tremendous riders. You've got such a strong colony in New York. And to take on that challenge and to have it work out the way it did, I admire him so much and I respect it so much.
And it only took him 2 years, right? But, I'm excited for next year. Irad is one of the most competitive people I've ever seen in sports. And I can imagine that next year, he's going to bring another version of himself that's going to make that competition between the two of them even greater than it was.
Well, it is kind of funny. Irad had another amazing year. Over 10 years in a row now, minimum of 300 wins. That's unbelievable, right? That being said, that it's not going to sit well with him. Like you say, he's going to try to bring even more. Irad, to me, is the modern-day version of Angel Cordero. Mm-hmm. His brother, Jose, to me, is the modern-day version of Eddie Belmonte. 2 great riders hailing from Puerto Rico, a little bit different approach to things. It's been a fun and a privileged thing to watch these young men from the time they were apprentices here and what they've evolved into. Just phenomenal talent.
Yeah, and at the top class, at that upper echelon, you probably do need that, right? You're a guy like Irad Ortiz Jr., when you've hit the top and you're the perennial leading rider, as people say, now you get Flavien Prat. The competition, it's always going to be there with jockeys, but you want to be the top guy, but it's good to have some of these new names in there so it mixes it up and it gives you something to point towards for the next season.
Well, also, Irad, it doesn't matter if it's a 10 claimer on a weekday at Gulfstream or a Grade 1 on Belmont Stakes Day. You are going to get an unbelievable effort from him. He never takes a race off. And I know that sounds like, well, that's his job. There's been a lot of great riders over the years could not get motivated for an everyday race, or in fact would manage their careers and say, I don't want to ride those kind of horses anymore. Not Irad. He wants to ride every race every day.
How impressed have you been with Flavien Prat in just the year that he continues to have, and will he continue to see this same success as you talk about that competition near the top?
I've said it on this show before, and I'll say it again. One of the worst opinions I've ever had in racing is when Flavien was dominating in California, I thought he was overrated. It's the worst opinion I've ever had in horse racing.
I shared that opinion.
Yeah.
I thought he was a good rider. I thought he was, honestly, not as strong a jockey colony, with all due respect to those guys. And small fields. It's easier to ride in 5- and 6-horse fields when you're on the best horse. riding 10 and 12 horse fields when your horse could be third or fourth best. To me, the measure of a rider is the races they win on horses other people wouldn't have won on.
Yeah, and I could all those stakes races he won this summer at Saratoga. I could think about 5 of them that I don't think anyone else would have won on.
Made a difference.
If there's a modern-day Migliore, do you know who that is? Do you know who that name is? You don't have to tell me.
No,
is it in your mind?
No, honestly, I think it would sound a little too arrogant or conceited.
Sure.
The only thing I will say, I was not the best rider by any measure, but nobody loved it more than I did. The guys maybe loved it as much. Nobody loved it more than I could not wait to get up in the morning and get to the racetrack. I could not wait to get to the jockey's room. I couldn't wait to mix it up with the guys. I really loved being a rider. Now, there's things being a rider that you don't like, making weight, dealing with people at times, wasn't as easy. But the actual riding and the horses themselves, man, I wish I could still do it.
This version of Migliore is pretty darn cool, though. That's sitting right next to us here as we get set for one more race coming at Oaklawn Park. Still great to see a great jockey colony that are going to be right here in New York, winning a lot of races, not only at Aqueduct, Belmont at Big A, and also at Saratoga. Hey, Oaklawn Park, we got their finale coming up. When we come back with more America's Day at the Races, the MIG.
I grew up resenting horse racing a little bit. My dad and my mother divorced when my brother and I were very young, and I didn't get to see Dad a lot. And when I did go to see Dad during the summers, we'd have to go to the races in the barn all day. And then being a little kid, there was a lot of resentment there. I didn't really have a direction early on in my life. I loved sports. I loved baseball. I actually played a year of college baseball. But I mean, at some point you realize, you're 5'6", you're 5'7", you're slow as hell, you have a terrible arm. You're not going to be a Major League Baseball player. Growing up in Louisville, I fell in love with horse racing on my own.
The unbeaten colt, Smarty Jones, is drawing away to win the Derby.
In the year that Smarty Jones won, I caught the bug really, really bad and decided that's what I wanted to do. I remember the conversation really well because it took a long time to have it, probably a couple years to tell Dad. I knew I wanted to be a trainer. I knew I wanted to follow in his footsteps, but I wasn't brave enough to tell him that yet. I was embarrassed to admit it for whatever reason, and it was an emotional thing to tell him, and I don't know why, because as soon as I did tell him, he was like, well, then let's do it. Let's make you the best that you can possibly be, and we hit the ground running.
But Teppan has a 5-length margin and deep stretch. It is Teppan.
Teppan in front. Teppan, Parado racing it out near the line. Teppan from Bamboo. Wins for America back the winner.
Teppan in front. They have a furlong to run, and she has turned them away. And she is going to make this her own personal playground. Teppan.
I just give credit to Teppan for a lot of things. Teppan is definitely the reason I went on my own because she gave me that confidence. You know, when I left to go on my own, there was no handouts. I got my own clients. At the time, I was a little upset about that, but in hindsight, that was the right thing to do because now everything has been that much more rewarding.
Hard Legacy still going strong. Hard Legacy goes coast to coast.
To win my first graded stake at Churchill Downs, we did it for Mary Lou Whitney while Mary Lou was still with us. And to win a race named after a horse that Mary Lou bred, the Whitney's bred regret. You know, it's kind of fairy tale, and it was a good moment.
It is Pretty Birdie, jockey Louis Saez, wearing the colors of the Mary Lou Whitney stables. Pretty Birdie takes the Schuylerville.
Being associated with Mary Lou Whitney and her husband John, who have been so great for the sport and so great for the town of Saratoga, I knew there was a lot of pressure riding on Pretty Birdie and me, and she delivered. I've been a part of a lot of big races, won a lot of big races when I worked for my father, but that was the biggest moment of my life in racing so far. There's two simple goals. I would like to be the guy in Kentucky, you know, at that very top tier at Churchill and Kingland. That would be one of my main goals, but the only goal is to win the Kentucky Derby.
Norm Casse hoping to win this 10th and final coming up here at Oaklawn Park as we're right on top of a post parade. Post parade for a maiden special weight 6 furlongs. Scratching the 4, scratching the 9. The 3-year-olds. The 3-year-old fillies getting set to round things out here and conclude the card. And here is the one late to the game.
Yeah, a half sister to Bezos, a horse that used to be with Bob Baffert that was good for a second and then went the wrong direction.
The 2 trained by John Ortiz.
1-2 for John Ortiz. Nice steady work tab. No works that really scream off the page at you.
Love Me a Sunset is the 3.
Yeah, has some siblings that showed a little bit of early speed.
Scratch the 4. We'll go to the 5. Flat Stormin'.
Yeah, this is one that needs to show a little bit more finish in their races. Did show speed on debut.
The 3-year-old filly by Practical Joke. The 6, Raquel Blue.
Taking some money and a good work tab going back to August. So you know this horse got a lot of foundation.
Safi Joseph Jr., he tries to continue his winning ways. He's got the 7 in here. Get Frosty.
Yeah, a horse that ran for $25,000 out at Gulfstream and didn't do much running on the synthetic.
The 8 horse is going to be Pretty Layla. Rafael Bejarano will be aboard.
Taking money off of her form and making the first start for Chris Hartman from the Ruiz stable.
Scratch the 9. We'll jump over to the 10. That's Carson K. Big number.
Big number, and rightfully so. We just have to find a faster race than we've seen.
Yeah, and here comes the Norm Casse trainee at 7-2. That's Songmaker.
Yeah, has some speed from the outside, but I just feel like the 7-2 is going to get a little bit shorter as it gets closer to
And
time.
far outside is going to be the 12. That's Queen Clancy.
Yeah, 10 starts, 6 seconds. Certainly races fast enough to win, but has had a lot of opportunities to break through.
10th and final coming up here at Oaklawn Park. Let's head on down one more time. Paul, great job this afternoon as always, holding it down. And what do we think here in the 10th and final maiden special weight?
Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate it. And but you know, when I look at this race, I do think the 7 in here, Get Frosty. You know, Safi Joseph so far 2 for 2 at the meet, or at least 2 for 3. This horse dropped for the meet in 25 and lost at 3-5. I do not know what to do with this horse, but this horse is getting played right now. I mean, and maybe is the speed of the speed. Now, the 8 in here, Pretty Layla, I just think the morning line was just a kind of a mistake, because if you look back at this Ruiz runner, you guys mentioned it, that first start probably wins this race. You know, they entered this horse in the dome on debutante, so they also thought that she had maybe a little bit. I get it. She was 72 to 1. Maybe they thought she had a little bit of talent, and a filly by Uncle Mo. So a little bit of sentiment here with the passing of Uncle Mo. The 11 is definitely the horse to beat. At least on paper for me, Songmaker. You know, a horse that did debut in the maiden special weight. You look at a lot of these other runners in here, they've kind of dropped and popped, like the 12 Queen Clancy. I get the 6 to 1, but 6 second place finishes. Of the 2 John Ortiz runners, I got to catch up with John, and he basically told me, listen, the 2's more advanced than the 3, and the board's basically telling you that. And then he thought the 2 might run a big race in here. He didn't think he had to beat much. And McLean Robertson, same thing. He said, you know, listen, my horse is ready. McLean had a big second a little bit earlier in the card. But I'm going to stick with Get Frosty in the hot barn. But I do think Pretty Layla, I mean, that 21 morning line should have not happened. But you're getting this horse at 9 to 2. I think those are the 2 horses, and obviously the 11. And Chris, I just want to tell you, Mig and Jonathan and everybody out there, a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, and everybody else a happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah is on the 26th as well. We'll be back on air, and I'll be back on air on the 27th. And everybody behind the scenes, happy holidays as well.
Oh, come on. How good is that? Of course, we appreciate that, Paulie. And yeah.
Thanks, Paul, and Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. And I can't wait. I'm sure at some point I'll make a trip down there this winter and spend some time with Paul, and I know we'll be hitting up the Lucas.
Sounds good. I'm hungry.
Getting ready for this 10th and final, just about 1 minute away, and the sun starts setting there in Hot Springs in a competitive field. And taking a look at the number 11, and Paul liked the 11, saying 1 to beat, 3-0 filly by Birdsong. You know the pedigree very well, comes off of sloppy main track effort. Only had that 1 career start, so the improvement obviously seems to be there.
Yeah, I mean, you would expect her to take a step forward, and now she gets on a fast track, for the first time, that first start being a sloppy track. Didn't take much money on debut, though, at Keeneland. Is that something you look at, Jonathan?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to take into consideration. I think that we always joke that one of the best handicappers out there is the public, right? They get the favorite right 33% of the time. Or they get the favorite wins 33% of the time, so the public makes the favorite that. So I do think that there is definitely something to following the money. But it is, it's also a situation. It was a sloppy racetrack. It was at Keeneland. These horses can get lost because there's some monsters debuting around that time at Keeneland. So sometimes they can get lost a little bit. I look more for just some money. You want to see some money and some run. And you definitely can get that with the 11 Songmaker and Drawn Outside and the fact this horse was bred by Mary Lou Whitney, and mentioned, you saw Norm talk about that in that piece where he had that relationship with Mary Lou Whitney.
Was there a horse you really zeroed in on here? I mean, was there a horse that really stood out to you, maybe in the post parade or something when you saw them come onto the track? Because pretty lightly raced horses in this race.
There was a trainer that I wanted to get involved with. I wasn't 100% sure which one I liked the most between the 2 and the 3 and John Ortiz, but the money on the board and the information that Paul shared is that the 2 is probably the one of those 2 that I wanted, so I'm going to end up siding with the 2 in here.
I'm against the favorite, and maybe she'll win. But she ran for maiden 25 on synthetic off of a couple of decent efforts on dirt, and that doesn't strike confidence in me. I'm a little bit interested in the 6, who I think is taking money for connections that don't jump off the page at you for with a first-time starter, down to 7 to 1 right now. I like that this work tab goes back to August. No, nothing spectacular. I mean, I got a 47 and 1 there, November 13th, but consistency in the work tab, and that speaks to a healthy horse to me. And 7 to 1, I believe, is taking money for this horse in a big field.
And for the 12 in Queen Clancy, I mean, this is a horse 6 second place finishes, as we pointed out, 10 lifetime starts, but earned over $113,000. So this horse has yet to get to the winner's circle, has still earned some money. At that 5 to 1, Francisco Arrieta, we've talked about him a little bit. He's done some really, really strong work over the last few days. Is this a horse that can finally get over the hump here and get the victory?
A lot of times when I see a horse accumulate that many seconds and no wins, I start to think they're herd bound. They don't want to win. But every time she's been second, she's well beaten. It's not like she gets there and hangs. Maybe she's just running into a faster horse on the day.
A couple of those seconds were for maiden 75, maiden 100. Those are still pretty high level maiden special weight equivalent types, but it's definitely a concern.
All right, 10th and final there from Oaklawn Park. It's Matt Dinnerman one more time here from Hot Springs with the call. Maiden special weights. We'll see what happens here in the 10th.
30 good cards next week, but for now, enjoy this nightcap We're working with Queen Clancy for Francisco Arrieta, who's seeking a hat trick today. Queen Clancy goes in. We're ready to go. And Leroff in the nightcap. Queen Clancy on the far outside going to stalk the pace. She broke alertly and was close early, but there's a wall coming up to pass her now. Coming out of the crowd is Raquel Blue, the first-time starter. Raquel Blue has the lead here from Pretty Layla, who takes the second position. Love Me a Sunset between horses races in third. While on a loose rein here. Queen Clancy is deep on the course. Songmakers with that group. Flat Stormin' off of heels in the two-path, getting into third, going into the far turn run, 2 off the pace. Get Frosty is in mid-division with another gray. Leilani Sue, late to the game, is second to last, and Carson K can see them all as they round the far turn at 9-1 on debut. It's Raquel Blue and Rocco Bowen. Raquel Blue, a length and a half clear. Rafael Bejarano getting to work on Pretty Layla in the second position. Flat Storm in third. Queen Clancy outside in fourth, needs to pick it up as they come down the lane. Raquel Blue in front. Pretty Layla on the outside right there, and with a chance. Far outside is Queen Clancy. Get Frosty, still behind horses, 4 behind, not going to get it done. 16th to go. Pretty Layla strikes the front. Pretty Layla kicking away with Rafael Bejarano, who's going to pick up his second win for Chris Hartman today. Pretty Layla scores in the Ruiz Racing colors. 2 wins for Ruiz Racing as well. Queen Clancy's second, then Leilani Sue, and late to the game.
10th and final there goes to the number 8, Pretty Layla. Chris Hartman picks up another victory over the weekend. He's had a nice weekend, and almost kind of fitting here to end up our racing program here, sired by Uncle Mo.
Yeah, daughter of Uncle Mo gets it done here. Pretty Layla, another Chris Hartman training, making the first start for Ruiz Racing, making the first start for, I should say, Chris Hartman. I got to tell you guys, Rocco Bowen and the 6 Raquel Blue, at least it was worth the price of admission. I got a little bit of excitement there, even though she ultimately tired.
Look, the thing that keeps sticking him out in my head is the Uncle Mo thing. It's how he was a sensational racehorse, and to at least for some time being, we'll get to see his offspring continue to run, and then that'll transition slowly into seeing his grand offspring continue to run. It's one of my favorite parts about this game is that you can be a fan today, but your fandom today can lead to more experiences with horses that you fell in love with and their offspring, and it's the gift that kind of keeps on giving.
Rafael Bejarano picking up another win on the card. You can see order finish there, 8-12-2-1. Didn't see a ton from Songmaker, just kind of a little bit of a run into the far turn, but as the favorite, just didn't really fire today.
Yeah, just didn't really show up. Songmaker, the 12, Queen Clancy, another good effort, another second place finish. She's racking up purse money. She just hasn't been able to break through yet, a homebred for Dream Walking Farms.
All right, if you had Rafael Bejarano, Chris Hartman teaming up, they've done it quite a bit here this weekend in Hot Springs. There's your winner, the 8 Pretty Layla by Uncle Mo.
They're off in the Churchill Downs Stakes. Gun Pilot 22.66 was that first quarter. But it's Gun Pilot and Christian Torres are going to win the Churchill Downs. Gun Pilot by 2.5 under the wire.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on NYRA-Bets. Open your NYRA-Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the NYRA-Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
I love this stallion barn because this is where we house all of our stallions. And it's a favorite amongst everyone that comes on tour because they get to meet and greet some of their favorite horses that they saw race or are fans of their progeny. So this is Midnight Lou. So these boys are always expecting a mint. Yes, they know when we're coming, don't ya, on these tours. Of course, Loggins is our newest stallion. So son of Go Zapper. Yes, I know. Very handsome, very youthful looking. I like to come when the stallions are coming in from their paddocks. So I get to see them all parade in, and Violence comes in every day, very proud. So I enjoy watching them come in and go into their different stalls, and that happens around noon each day. Violence, I would say, stands the proudest, looks the tallest, even though he's not. If you wanted to draw a picture-perfect stallion, this is what you'd draw a picture of. He's a beautiful stallion. A little bit aggressive. Clean your mouth out, charlatan. You're messy. This is Charlatan. They call him Charlie in the barn. That's his nickname. So, fun fact about him. Full of personality.
And here is the horse of the year, Go Zapper.
Of course, he's a legend of the barn. 24 years old. We had no intention of moving our stallion division here when we first purchased Alapa. And when the decision was made to move the whole operation here, we had 6 months to be out of the Lexington facility. So we had to construct that breeding shed and get all of these paddocks up so that we were ready for breeding season for our stallions. So I would say that Good Magic is probably the kindest, gentlest stallion in the barn. We're really proud of Good Magic and excited about his future. Of course, he had Mage win the Kentucky Derby in his first crop. We look forward to everything that's coming up from this guy. Curlin. Here, buddy. Hi, handsome. So here's Curlin. Consider him the king of the barn. Hi. It's great for me to do tours because when I do give a tour, the fans are so blown away and they just say wow constantly that it's a good reminder for me every day to appreciate it.
And there are our friends at Hillendale, and this is brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Race number 10 at Oaklawn Park. It was their 10th end final. They're in Hot Springs, and you saw the number 8 in Pretty Layla get the job done there. Rafael Bejarano was aboard. It was her 5th career start. Only had that 1 second, but gets right to the winner's circle from just off the pace.
Yeah, set that nice trip, eased out into the lane, and got it done. Another Chris Hartman winner here, hailing from the Ruiz Racing Stable, a homebred for them by Uncle Mo. And as you said, Chris, very fitting to end our show before Christmas, a couple of days off for Christmas, with an Uncle Mo victory.
No, and look, Ruiz Racing with a couple of wins on the day. One with a Bolt Doro, one with this Uncle Mo here. And it's funny because there's not much running out in California for Pretty Layla, but sometimes that change of scenery, change of barn, change of operation can kind of wake one up, and that's what happened, it seems, here with Pretty Layla.
And ready to wrap things up there at Oaklawn Park, and he wished us a happy holidays and nice greetings, but we got to see his smiling face, I believe, one more time there. Paul LaDuca down there at Oaklawn Park as he was bringing us all the action all weekend long, and he's going to be saying happy holidays, or he's going to be wrapping things up. That's what I'm told. Oh, we're staying here. I thought Paulie was coming up on screen.
I was so excited to see Paul. I thought
he was going to make a big appearance. But, hey, talking about the racing at Oaklawn and just talking about the way that we did wrap up, and you guys were talking about Uncle Mo as well. it's always kind of seems to end up that way, that we end. Sometimes the story of horse racing can just paint that picture for you, right? Like, we didn't even have to set this up, made in a special way, but nice way to close things out.
Yeah, I think this time of year, I mean, obviously Thanksgiving is what you're thankful for, but I think even just these holidays, everyone usually spends a lot of time with family, and you get there's another level of thankfulness, and I think from a racing standpoint, I think it reminds us that these four-legged animals have given us all a life. And even in their careers and they're away from the racetrack, when you lose one of them, it's hard. It's like losing a family member, thinking about who they were, and what they meant to you in the sport.
Well, these horses are woven through the fabric of our life, right? You know, if you had a tapestry of your life, it's about the horses. Uncle Mo, when he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, that was the first Breeders' Cup that I ever covered as an analyst, right? You know, and obviously he was a brilliant 2-year-old, but just what you said, horses have given me everything good in my life. I can just trace it back directly to horses, whether it's, material things, the car you drive, the house you live in, but more so the people in my life, you guys, the friendships, the relationships. There's so many people here at NYRA that I work with. My wife I met through horses, therefore my kids, my grandkids, these extensions of it. Just very blessed because of these horses. Their generosity of spirit is unparalleled in a racehorse.
Yeah, the word family continues to come to mind. I think we've seen it throughout the weekend, whether it's the features that we've shown or whether that's just the camaraderie here at the desk. You see that horse racing happy, one big happy family, sometimes competitive, sometimes angry. Families fight once in a while, but at the end of the day, we want to celebrate the holiday season and watch this great sport that we're all a part of.
It isn't one big family, at times a dysfunctional family. That being said, I love that feature on Hillendale at Alapa.
Yeah.
The history and the beauty of that farm is unparalleled, and what great stewards of that property, the Sikora family, and what they've done to restore that to that incredible beauty that it is. And then every time I see Curlin, and I've been saying this for years now, he is the reincarnate to me of Man O' War. Google pictures, anybody out there, of Man O' War, images of Man O' War, and tell me you're not looking at the same horse. It's uncanny.
Let's talk about the action that we did see on the track as well, and that was at Oaklawn, and taking a look at the Poinsettia Stakes. And we saw a great run here from Spirit Wind, and we go back to this effort. You saw the Familiar Silks winning with Hall and Ice, but Spirit Wind from just off the pace.
Yeah, look, Spirit Wind is one of those horses that has that speed, and she didn't find herself on the front end yesterday, excuse me. She didn't find herself on the front end, but her tactical speed and her and how she could put herself into a great spot in that race, sit behind some dueling leaders, tip out, and then run for home. I think the 5.5 furlongs of yesterday's race helped her out quite a bit as well. And it's when you end the year with a good performance like this, it can only get you excited about what's to come in the following year. I would imagine that Safi Joseph and his team are excited about what's to come with Spirit Wind as she grows up a little bit. 3-year-olds turning 4, they can get better overnight on you.
The change. I love the way she was able to do it, get outrun from the outside. Fernando very adeptly got her into the clear. You're on the best horse. Don't get fancy. Give them their opportunity to run, and that's what he did, and did it well. Fernando Yara, a young rider that had a lot of success early on, then wound up in Dubai and kind of bouncing around. It looks like he's getting his career back on track.
Before we jump out of here, any Christmas wishes, holiday wishes out to the family, friends, anything like that?
If anyone who knows me knows I'm about to get treated to some really good food for the next few days.
Absolutely. I'll be digging in, cooking for about 28 people, but it'll be fun. And my granddaughter Isabella's 2, and I think this is now the first year she kind of understands the excitement and magic of Christmas.
I'll hang out with this family anytime, and we hope you enjoy a very joyous and wonderful occasion with your family wherever they are. Don't forget, our next show is on Friday when racing does resume right here at the Big A at Aqueduct, 3 o'clock Eastern. Check your local listings to see that show next Friday. Hall and Ice with the big victory. America's Day at the Races. Have a wonderful holiday season, Christmas season, and thank you to all the horsemen, horsewomen, and the horses in this great sport that we love all year long. Enjoy your holidays. We'll be back on Friday with America's Day at the Races. Thanks to the team.